All right,
Hopefully
here we
it's loud
go.
enough.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Evil Hour, the all things survival horror podcast, including our experiences, thoughts, and hot takes. We're your hosts, the dudes of dudes, horror enthusiasts, and renegades of the underground. This guy over here, his name is,
I'm D-Dog Cat 36.
and I'm Sean Graves. And in today's episode, we are going to be discussing something that we have both been entrenched in for the month of October. It's finally here, everybody.
Yes.
Silent Hill 2, the remake. So, it's here. We're finally here.
I'm gonna ask you right off the bat. What is your thoughts? What do you think of it before we get into details and mapping and all that other stuff?
I had a really fun time.
Oh my god. It was the
Like-
best 23 years of waiting.
I want to put it like this. There was this, like, after Silent Hill Ascension came out, and I was just like, oh, that's an experience. I watched every single episode. I know you tried. I know you wanted to, but like, I went through it. I went through those trenches, and I was just like, we are gonna watch every single episode, because it's not that like I'm a diehard Silent Hill fan. I am, but like, this was supposed to be like the opener, you know?
Right.
And so like with Bluter team, like they're the developers of Silent Hill 2, the remake. I was hoping anything like more than that, than what we got from Ascension. And they knocked it out of the park. They just had the right recipe, the right mixes, like everything that I think made it work. And as I was doing some of the research behind it, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
I gotta say, as many times as if you guys seen my live stream and or YouTube on it, I said it, I think in every single episode I live streamed the game, man. Is just
Wow.
they fucking killed it. And I
Yeah.
hate to say it because I was a firm believer. I hated Bloober Team. I did. I never liked them. I thought they always made shit games. And when I heard that they were coming behind this, I was very scared. And I gotta like give them a round of applause. And like, I want to write them a whole apology letter saying like, dude, like you guys did it and you did it right. And that's what makes me laugh though, is because actually, if you look on the Bloober Team's thing and everything, the CEO even admitted that, yeah, our past games were shit and we're sorry.
Really?
He even said after
actually,
the
but
creation of
that's so
Silent Hill
weird.
2 that made him open up his eyes of what he was making.
Yeah, but
Because
like,
it, literally the I'll have to send you the link now.
sure.
Literally the caption was, "We're sorry, but our previous games were shit." That was
I
literally
actually
opening
like the
caption.
Layers of Fear game though. Like,
No.
I like those games. Like, you know, you could definitely see where the inspiration was for those games, and they have like their own
Oh,
distinction.
absolutely.
Like they're very distinct. They're not like blatantly ripping off of a greater game from the past, i.e. 2014. But like, yeah, I honestly felt like Layers of Fear was like Tis peak. I think that their Blair Witch Project video game was like another like remasking of the same game but in a different environment
Right.
and things.
Right.
I'm trying to think of anything else that they've done, but
Oh,
I
they done a
can't seem to
lot.
put like a
The
finger on
Medium.
it.
That was.
Oh yeah, I see that. It says
That
Blue
was
Team
it.
says it's done making shitty games, air quotes, and Silent Hill 2 remake wasn't a fluke. You know, it's like, yeah, you know, maybe you just need
They-
like
they really
a project to really kind of break you out of the.
Well, that's what I love about what they did with this creation. Is just like they kept it Silent Hill 2. It's one of those things, like, I'm so glad that they didn't make it like the original, because
Mhm.
if they would have made it like the original, we know that game like the back of our hands, and I
Mhm.
felt like there wouldn't be it would just be Silent Hill 2 with updated graphics.
Yeah.
But in this one, the thing that I love about it is like it's Silent Hill 2 with updated graphics and same story and same places, but they added their little sprinkle of twists in it
Yeah.
that didn't make it exactly like Silent Hill 2.
You even
And
get to like in
those
like
little
not only just
twists
the
were so
environment,
good.
it wasn't just the environment, but it was also like the dialogue and like the way that characters
Oh
interacted with
yeah.
one another.
Oh my god, they actually
And
treated like they were humans and shit. You know,
yeah,
it blows my
right,
mind.
right. So we totally skipped over. Hold on. First and foremost,
No, 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 you're fine. I'm
thanks
sorry.
to we want to take a shout out to our moderators. We are so jumping the gun on this one. Shout out to our moderators, Lightbright Indie, King J935, D-Dog Cat himself over here, and Go Johnny Go 86, as well as Sriracha Sauce. Let's see. Okay, now that we got that all out of the way, let's get into it. Silent Hill 2 was developed by Bluter Team. Directed, designer, and artist was these names are not American.
Yeah.
Mr. Lenart.
This is designed by the team.
I'm just gonna say the last names. Mr. Lenart.
Okay.
Produced by one Glompt Okamoto. I'm having to read my own handwriting on this one too.
You're good.
Programmers, there were 2 of them, and they are also hard to enunciate. Writer, we have our own writer as well, and then of course composer Akira Yamaoka. I wrote down a couple of notes here. Jason Enos. Okay, so I read this article. It was actually from NPR last night because I was like just going through NPR and I noticed that Silent Hill 2 made an article in there. And as I was reading it, it was like talking about how like a former a former product manager for Konami was being quoted in the article. And one part that I thought was very particular about this, tell me how you feel about this, is throughout the 2000s, he said the company moved from its bread and butter, because it's Silent Hill bread,
Right.
in pursuit of hoping for bigger profits, that like they just like were like, okay, well, we've been on this side of the rainbow, let's go to the other side of the rainbow and see what's over there. So like they dropped like Contra and Silent Hill, they dropped, you know,
Metal Gear.
Yeah, Metal Gear, like everything that like Capcom did not drop. Because if you think about it, like throughout the 2000s, the 10s, you know, we're now in the 20s, you know, those games have been coming out quite regularly, or like even like remakes of these games have been coming out quite regularly. And it's just one of those things where it's like even companies like Konami didn't drop the bucket while exploring other things, you know? And I just feel like for Konami, the story was completely different, and that was, let's just drop everything that made product and let's go do
back to
other
what
things.
We know, pretty much.
Right. And I mean, it doesn't help that like in the 10s, you know, they lost not only pretty much all of Team Silent, but they also lost everyone from Hideo Kojima to like his whole development team, and he was the one that brought up, you know, Silent Hill PT, which was a product that just never even came to fruition. Instead, we get like the Callisto Protocol later on, which is just pretty much like a love child of
Dead Space.
PT. And
PT.
Yeah, you know.
You know, not to change subject real quick, it just reminded me because I saw on my camera. This is a prime time to wear our jackets. I just now realized we.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot to wear it.
I just saw it in my background. I was like, wait, man, we're talking about our favorite game.
I'd have to run to the other side of the house.
No, you're fine. I just saw it. I was like, that's funny.
Interestingly enough, I did some research on Konami, and only 70% of their company makes profit off of video games.
70%?
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot, honestly. That's
out of
more
20,
than half.
like out of 30% going elsewhere to like other products. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of assholes. I mean, we talked about that.
Yeah, they definitely don't know how to
read.
They're like that.
Konami,
I feel like Konami's like that company that doesn't know how to read a room.
They're low key. Yes. Yes, that was on point.
Another fun fact that I found out was that Resident Evil 4 sold more than 8 million copies. Oof. And that was when it got remade. because it was like
Right.
released on the GameCube
Well, what blows my mind
originally.
before you start on this topic,
Yeah,
because I feel like I know where you're kind of going with, but we'll revert to what you were saying again.
sure.
But what blows my mind about this, and don't get me wrong, you know, it wasn't a popular title, and not only that, horror games back on the PlayStation 2, that was Tis peak of horror, man. I mean, the PlayStation, the old classic consoles has the most fucked up scary horror games I played even till this day. And
Here's
with that being,
my take on that though, is because the PlayStation 2 was more of like, it was a better engine than the
yeah,
PlayStation for sure. And like, we got Silent
absolutely.
Hill and Resident Evil out of that one. But then, you've got PlayStation 2 comes out and it's a stronger, more it's a like the whole fog
Yeah,
effect, was essentially used because of the limitations of the machine.
right,
And even on the
right.
PlayStation 2, the limitations are still technically there. So the company or the people who were creating these video games were working around constraints. And I, as a creative person, know that within constraints, you actually get more out of your art by
Right.
constraining yourself. So instead of having like, let's say if you're an artist and you have all these colors on your palette, and you only work with 3.
Ah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like you have the
right.
variation of like you could create if you have like brown, you could just use that brown right there. But if you want like a different color of brown, you
You
can
can
make
buy
your own
it.
color of brown.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I'm saying is like I feel for PlayStation 2, like they were working within constraints, and that's why we got such quality of survival horror video games out of it. Whereas like
Absolutely,
we've
yeah.
got like the Xbox, we have computers, we have
Yeah.
whatever,
Because
and
don't get me
those.
wrong, there's good horror games out right now, but like nothing could beat the classics,
Right,
my
and
opinion.
what I'm saying is like apples to oranges here is that like we're working with better technology, so those
Yeah.
constraints are no longer there. So
Oh
whatever
yeah,
constraints
true.
are here, like and they're not really as like visible as at this point. It's just performance.
Right.
I think it's not even a matter of like can we make this thing happen. It's just performance at this point. You know,
Right.
um, and I also like to further on is that like within the first week of Silent Hill 2, the remake coming out, they sold 1 million copies.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what I was
Yeah,
gonna get into with what I was saying was what blows my mind is like how many people, and again, don't get me wrong, I shouldn't say nobody, not a lot of people had the consoles back at the time.
yeah.
But what blows my mind is a lot of people are saying this is my first Silent Hill I ever played. And I'm
I
like,
know, right?
buddy. And I'm like, I mean, good choice, great choice. I'm glad that you're actually giving it a thought. But that's what when you brought up Silent Hill, or sorry, Resident Evil sold 8 million copies when it
Mm-hmm.
first, came out. And it's like, yeah, because I hate to say it, but Resident Evil was such a popular
Mm-hmm.
game at
Yeah.
that time, and if not even to this day.
Yeah.
And Silent Hill was just the stepbrother, but
Or
those who were
like
like
it's
the
the it's the
fans of Silent
it's
Hill
the
knows the
Pepsi.
potential.
I always thought of it as like Pepsi and Coca-Cola.
Absolutely, you
You
only like
know?
one or the other,
Yeah, right. And that's why
yeah.
like when I try to play Resident Evil,
I
like
don't like Resident Evil whatsoever.
I always feel
I
like it's a
tried
different
all of them.
muscle. It's a different way of
Ah,
playing, and there's just a different flow that I'm not used to. So that by
right.
the time like I'm finally figuring it out, it's like, oh man, I made so many horrible choices. Like I clocked like 5 hours in the first Resident Evil remake.
Oh,
Um, and that's when my brain started to finally go like, oh, okay, now I know how to play this game, and I kind of just want to go back and just start all over again.
right,
Um,
right,
so that way it feels like okay, yeah, I'm not like good at it, but I can m- make better choices, I guess, or
right,
play to the game where the competency is that it wants me to be at rather than where I was in the past.
right.
um and so I don't know if you've first of all, like have you checked in on like what other critics have talked about when it comes to Silent Hill 2? Because there's one in
Um,
particular that's like I saw a video of a gentleman who critiqued Silent Hill 2, and I can only say that from what I heard on Thursday night, I think it was, during my break, it was it wasn't really a critique. It was just like, it was more of like an observation, but it was a very lame observation that I thought to myself, I don't know if I'm like just drinking my own Kool-Aid, and I think that Silent Hill 2 is perfect in every way, shape, and form, like Mary Poppins. Um,
But
but, the main complaint was the camera. Right. I know you're like faces, like making that face. I had the same reaction too. So this gentleman's critique was that back in Yonder Days on the OG one, we were very far away from
yeah, tank
playing
controls.
as James.
Yeah.
So like James would be back here and the camera would be swinging around as if you're just watching from a very, very far third
Right.
person perspective of what's happening to this character. So it kind of makes this disconnect, right, of like you and the character, whereas the new one now, it's like it's right here behind you.
Yeah.
Ironically, Motoi Okamoto, the gentleman who originally directed or produced the video game, his major complaint back in the PlayStation 2 days was that the camera wasn't doing what he wanted to do. And again, this goes back to the limitations and the constraints of the PlayStation 2, because he wanted that over the shoulder look, but he couldn't figure out, like, it just wasn't working for this game. So now
I think
that
it'd
we
be a
have
cool idea of them doing like maybe like an add-on where you could play at third person or top view. That would be kind of cool. That would be kind of cool. Weird though, but then again, like it's 2024, just like we mentioned earlier. With the PlayStation 2 graphics, they never had. I mean, they did in some games. I can't say they never had, but they didn't really, especially on this kind of level in graphics, because that's what it all breaks down to, is how, because this is now made with Unreal Engine 5, which the other one was not made with Unreal Engine, And with that being said, though, is like you didn't have really over the shoulder camera.
Yeah.
Especially in games like that. Resident Evil was even like that. It was
Resident
top
Evil
view.
4, Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6.
Well, those ones, yes, but those were the newer ones. I'm talking about like the PlayStation and PlayStation 2 Resident Evil. They were all top view. And the camera angle, they had fixed cameras.
Even better yet, like going further to like, Resident Evil 2, etc. What it was even 3 was your background was rendered and then your character would just walk by.
Oh, really?
So there's a distinct path that only like your character could walk on. So your character would just only be able to walk through this particular area of this picture that it's existing in. And that's why the camera always flipped to a different scene if you leave, and it's always angled in some way, shape, and form.
Okay.
So the 3 dimensions wasn't really, it's an illusion of 3 dimensions, but it's really just you're looking at a picture.
Bro, you hear about this shit? Like when you're talking in game depth like this, you realize how much there's actual like art behind it,
And not only
like,
just
these
that,
are
but
artists.
like like especially like the remake. So I don't know about you, man, but the minute that game fired up and it was like I mean, I'm only on my second playthrough, so like I am definitely hacking and slashing through.
Bro, you know damn well you did a good job when I still boot up. I'm on my now 3rd playthrough. And when I see that beginning screen, it gives me chills. Because I don't know if it gives me chills because I just remember what the game used to be in my childhood, and now I'm just seeing it again. But I'm sorry, but after playing this game 3 fucking times and it's still giving me chills, you made a damn good game.
Well, even like the original second one, every time you play, well, and what was like the huge like this is okay. So back in the 10s, right? I remember distinctly Star Trek was getting remade, right?
Right.
The I think it was Chris Evans version when he played as Kirk, right? The commercials were saying this is not your father's Star Trek. So like everything that you know about Star Trek from like the 60s, the 80s, the 90s or whatever, like it's all gone. Like don't even bring it up. It's same characters, different remake. The minute that this game came out, I was just like, okay, so whatever, it's a remake, whatever. But the minute that the game starts up and he does the whole hand thing and the mirror look and then he just leaves, As soon as he left and it was just cutscene, the whole thing's a
Uh,
cutscene, I was like, oh, this is definitely not your father's Silent Hill 2,
man,
you know? Like,
starting off in that position of, since we're starting from beginning,
yeah.
how did you like everything? Like, besides, like, obviously graphics were pretty and it was beautiful and everything. Like,
Yeah.
what was your talk of like taking in that, like,
Well, it just really just set the mood, you know? Like back in 2000, it set the mood for like the heaviness that we're about to get into, but not the
right?
horror that we're about to experience.
Absolutely. I
And
actually feel that 100% with you.
and then freaking the just like the I it's one of those things, like I just heard this like podcast about a movie that the boyfriend unit is a huge fan of, and one of the things is that like either you've seen the movie before and you can't critique it by rewatching it years later, you know, because you already have like that prime of like I already know what BS we're about to get into. So
Right.
in my head, I'm
Right.
like, oh, this is gonna end either really badly for us or really good for us, you know?
Well, that's the thing that blew my mind about this, and we'll talk more about it because this is kind of pushing it ahead. I would like
Yeah.
to go in order here,
Oh,
but
I'm just
I'll
saying,
skip a
like,
little.
I'm
No,
just
no,
trying to
no,
say,
you're
like, the
fine. You're
very
fine.
beginning of it, we can either this is setting the precedent of
Well,
like
that's what I was
how
gonna say. Is
beautiful
like
this video game
my
gets.
feeling was like, what is it going to expect? Because I know what I'm
Yeah.
going to expect. You know, I played the original. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what you're going to expect.
Yeah.
But when the expect happened, aka the boss fights, we'll
Uh-huh.
get to there. When the expect happened, it was like,
Yeah.
holy shit! Because
Oh,
like
yeah.
back to the opening scene, like you did, it or what you said was like when I was there, and it just gave me this warm feeling. And it was
I
like
know,
seeing
like
my
I felt
childhood.
feelings.
Yeah, it, like seeing my childhood, but in like a resurrected version.
Well,
if that
you
makes
know,
sense,
like,
you know?
I was saying during my first playthrough, that like there's like there again, like comparing the PlayStation 2 to today, is that like on the PlayStation 2 graphics, we filled in a lot of the details
Yeah.
with our imagination of what is already given to us. So now
You're even
that
talking about this right now, not to cut you off, dude. I'm even
yeah.
getting chills right now, even talking about it, man.
Our
Like, that's how
brain
much this
doesn't.
game affects me.
Yeah, like this game, like the remake, it gives it to you. It gives it to you exactly how
does.
it's supposed to be, and there's no like ambiguity. There's no like, well, what is on the other side of the wall that he's looking from? You know, like yeah. You know, what's inside the car other than just the front seat? Like you can see what is inside his car, you know, things like that. Yeah.
Moving on with that from the beginning stage is when we're walking to the forest to meet Angela for the first time.
Yeah.
That's when the game really hit me, and I felt it on live stream. I don't know about you. Also, like when it kind of hit me is after the beautiful fucking dialogue of the voice acting, the beautiful voice acting in it. Like don't get me wrong, when I was controlling James, I was like, holy shit, like I'm playing the new Silent Hill. But when it came into realization of what you said, like I know what's about to happen, but is it gonna happen the same? Is when I was in the forest, and I was just like, I remember I was just like scanning everything. It was kind of like I was just panoraming around like this, you know. I was just like, oh my god, like we're in the forest now, because like the part, just like you mentioned earlier on the PlayStation 2, we had it from this way, and your guy was walking like side
Angles. Yeah.
And it's just like now when we had that over the shoulder, and this how the fog looked with the shadowing, it was just like, that's when it hit me. I was like, oh, we're in Silent, like this is happening.
So my question is that like from when I remember the 2000s version, like when the, like you said, the camera was moving to different Dutch angles and things like that, I thought that the animals that were going like rah 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 through, like, you know, so that happens. But I always thought it was like, oh, we're the animals watching James run through the forest, and we're the ones, you know, calling out to him in the forest. That's what I thought. But like, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm a little meta, but like the thing is, like, I thought that's what that angle was for, was to be like, we're the monsters looking from the forest, looking in on him, running through our forest, you
That's
know?
smart. That makes me want to replay the old one
So
now and
now
just kind of
going
like
back
look at that
to
part.
the remake where now we're just over the shoulder looking and doing the things and you just hear the sounds of roars and rustling and things like that. I was like,
Right.
did that lose its effect? I don't think so. It just made it a little bit more
Mm-mm.
uneasy because,
Yeah.
when we were the monsters looking at James Vice, now we're James and we don't have the benefit of where the angle is that the monsters are looking at us from the forest. Like, it still is
Right.
effective. It's a different kind of effect, but it's still effective.
I
That's
tell
why
you
I took
the
away from the forest section.
I'll tell you what affected me, and you can even see my reaction on my first playthrough clip of it,
Yeah.
and I thought it was kind of funny. But so we get through the forest, beautiful by the way, and then we meet up with Angela. I almost said
Yeah.
James. We meet up with Angela
My favorite
at
character,
the.
by the way, in the whole storyline.
Is it really, or is that
Yeah.
sarcasm?
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
dude,
she
I
really
hate
is.
her. I
Yeah.
think she's annoying, man.
I think she's
Even my
amazing.
wife can't stand her. She's just like,
Really?
I will say
Why?
this though, they make her more. I could tolerate more in the new one than the old one. I hated her. I just hated it. I
I
love
like
the
both.
story of the
Both are
character. I
good.
love how deep and depressing the character is. I love
Yeah.
everything about the character. I just I just didn't like her. If that makes you know what I'm saying. I
Okay.
love the story behind her.
Mhm.
But so we get to the graveyard. We start talking to Angela again. Beautiful voice acting, and what fucking nailed the coffin on me was when she said, "I'm searching for my mama," and then she's like, "I mean, my mother." I was like, "Oh
Mhm.
my god, they're even talking like actual fucking humans." And not only that, that's when I realized the voice acting, how they like kept the original voice lines in it, but add their little sprinkle to it. And
Yeah,
I was
like there
like,
were
this,
some
this
lines
it's
in
so
there.
perfect.
There were some lines that like were just added in.
Absolutely. And made it
But
even
you
more
wouldn't.
like better and
Yeah.
like, oh,
Like it just
it
kind
made
of brought
sense.
out. Yeah, like you could expect someone to just be like, uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah, like it was just like it's just I know it sounds so stupid that it's just like those little things, but like on PlayStation 2, like they're working with constraints of how much VF visual effects that they can do for those cutscenes.
Right.
And so it had to be short, sweet, to the point, or they had to make room for scripting where if it's a long scene, it needs to be we need that memory for that long scene to happen.
I don't know if it was you that told me this, but if you didn't, then I would like to share it with you. Because I looked further more into it, and it was actually true. They hired homeless people to do the voice acting of the PlayStation 2 game.
Um, I don't remember them being homeless, but I definitely remember them being okay. So Angela from Silent Hill 2, the
Yeah.
original voice actress, she went on to voice Heather in Silent
Oh,
Hill
really?
3. Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit. Okay.
The gentleman who plays James in Silent Hill 2, his real daughter plays Laura in the game.
That I did heard. Yeah, yeah.
And of
I
course,
forget what it was. I just like heard some stuff. And I actually did some research, and it was like, yeah, they actually hired people who never did shit. Blah blah blah.
yeah,
And they
they
were
just
like, I was like, whoa, what the
yeah.
hell?
The Konami essentially hired a bunch of people who had never done acting or like any kind of like professional like voice acting, which this is the
Right.
contention between Silent Hill and the HD release. So the thing is that like when the HD release was coming around, this is why Hijinks is no longer a company, because this project nosedived them.
I did.
They
actually.
didn't have the code. Konami didn't have the original code. They took a CD rip from Silent Hill 2 from the PlayStation, and then they only took the elements that they could from that data, had to remake data or remake elements off of that. And then when it came to the voice acting, the guy who played James in the first game came out and he said, "Hey, I know you're doing this project and I want my residuals." And Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, the woman who sings for Akira Yamaoka,
Yeah.
she's a professional voice actress. And so she was just like, when she was on tour promoting this HD release game, her whole thing was like, yeah, so we have like, you know, two new voices. You got the new voices and the old voices, but the reason why we did the new voices was because we were held up in legalities because of the original cast. They were suing Konami for royalties, which they weren't even
Oh.
owed.
Oh.
This is the hot tea to the HD release, is that the original voice actors were wanting residuals, which when you think of residuals, it's like 10 cents to the episode. Like, you know, when if you watch like an episode of like MASH, okay,
Right.
the guy who plays as Klinger is only getting 10 cents a month for like any one time one person watches an episode of MASH, okay? And that's even if he's on the episode, okay? So when that's why resyndication is a thing, because you're getting repaid for the rotation of the art that you had originally released, right?
Right.
That's not how video games apparently work. So that's why they were just like, okay, while Konami is trying to figure out this hot mess, we're just gonna go and Troy Baker, who again sings with Akira Yamaoka, who's also a voice actor, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, a whole roster of new voice actresses, and on top of that, they didn't have a problem with the Silent Hill 3 voice actors. So that's why a majority of those voice actors are still in the HD release, but the one voice that they repurposed was the voice that they had for the new voices on Silent Hill HD, Angela Oroso's character. They took her voice and put her in as Heather for the HD release.
Oh, okay.
So that's why it's like so fucking weird. I'm like, this isn't the original Heather, because her voice does not sound like it was even in the same fucking room as the other people.
Right.
So that's the hot contention to the HD release, and that's why when you have the HD release, you have old voices, new voices. I like that they going back to the voice actors, it really felt like they were acting. It felt like they were actually in the same room together, and they were both like, you know, working like not only just like the face capturing, because it really feels like that like uncanny valley moments of like, oh, this face looks a little too real for me, but like good, because it feels like a movie, and I'm kind of afraid of what Christoph Gaines is going to do for the movie. Like, I'm really afraid of what that Mother Liquor is going to do for
I heard that he just
film.
postponed it again, so that hopefully just like the game, this is gonna be an actual masterpiece, because I'm not gonna lie, the movies are
they're an experience.
I mean, the first one's good if you never played a game of Silent Hill, or if you did. I like the first one. The second one should not have even been a thing. But yeah, so hopefully with him postponing, just like Bluebird Team did, because this was supposed to come out at the end of 23, if I was right, and then they were like, never mind, 24, and then they never gave us a date, and then they were like, surprise, October. So just like, and I'm glad that we had to wait that year. Like, it was killing me, and it was honestly pissing me off.
Yeah, same.
Because I was like, knowing them, they'll probably be like, just give us one more year. But honestly, that 1 year I gave them, well respected.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Once again, shout out to them. I'm gonna be, and I said it on my live stream, I'll say it again. If this game does not get Game of the Year, I will actually be surprised. Because did you know actually Silent Hill 2, the original, actually got Game of the Year back in 2001? So if this one doesn't get Game of the Year, which, dude, it should. Not just because, I'm not saying that just because I'm a fan, but the whole story, the dialogue, the graphics, what Bluebird, is he a Bluebird Blobber? I can never say it.
I always say Bluebird. Like it's a long.
But what they did
like
as a team and everything, man, like they honestly deserve it. They deserve an Oscar, and this game needs to be. Again, if you guys never played the Silent Hill 2, well, now's your chance, and I fully recommend it.
I have a question. I have a question for you. So
fine.
after the cemetery, and we get to actually Silent Hill, right? I have a question for you. So like, how do you feel about like the video game making it so you can't go back to certain parts of the town?
I
It's like the beginning part of it. It's like, you know, you got a couple of places you can go to, but like really it's quite linear. You know what I mean? To get to the radio scene, and then after that, even then, it's pretty much linear. And it's like, why would I go back the way that I came?
I'm not gonna lie. So I liked it, but hated it. I only liked it because I knew for myself I was gonna replay the game, get
Mhm.
multiple endings. Now, if this was my first Silent Hill game, and because I used to be a one and done person, that's why I really don't play that's why I really don't play single player games, because normally if I beat it, cool. Later, I'll probably never play the game again.
Mhm.
So going into this, I already knew I was gonna come back. So me coming back, I knew I was going to pick up the things that I might have missed
Mhm.
that I couldn't go back before. Not only that, great question, by the way, but not only that, I am a man of multiple saves. I seen in
Same.
yours, you kept
Mhm.
on a little bit overwriting, like, yeah, one save, but then you override it a lot.
So,
And
well,
I was
that
just
was that
like,
was my backup because like if I am on like file
right,
1 and then I
right.
screw up between file 1 and file 2, then I can just go back to file 1 and
So that's why I
yeah.
never really had a problem with it, because I was just like, if I miss something, then I'll just go back to my last save.
Yeah.
But no, I like it just because what I said, like I knew I was gonna replay the game, so
Mhm.
it didn't really bother me as much that I couldn't go back.
I think it's interesting that like in ye olde days, like you could just as soon as you're done with the tutorial, quote unquote tutorial, your first monster, right?
Yeah.
Um the whole map pretty much like for that area, the
Hmm.
east area opens up, right? And you could roam wherever you want. And on this
Right.
one, I thought it was quite an interesting like design choice. We'll air quote this as a design choice that it's linear. So like even if you don't hit the gardening shop or if you don't, run up and down that one road that you're on. I know it's just one effing road, but that's not the point. The point is that most of these like barriers or these barricades weren't even really around. Like if they were, they were distinctly like around that one quadrant and there's only like the two.
Right.
And I don't know. I thought it was a design choice that you could only be on that one road, and then as soon as you got your radio, it was like, why would I go back?
Yeah, I guess you're right on that. I never
Mm-hmm.
thought of that really. The thing that I love, since we're talking about the town here and we're on that level, is that they made it more feel like a town. It wasn't
Oh
like
yeah, yeah,
your
yeah.
OG Silent Hill where this door's like, because basically it was like go to point A to point B. In a sense, yeah, like there was some like search around, here's a health drink there, there's some bullets
Mm-hmm.
there, whatever. But this one, the thing that I love about it is they made it where, oh, you could go into here, you could go into there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and don't get me wrong,
I
they still had the health drinks and bullets. Like, you didn't have to, but they made it where not every single door is locked.
mm-hmm.
And that's what I liked about that. Like, hell,
Or
now we
like you
could have
could
went
easily
into
just
Burger
break a
Shop.
window if you wanted, or like
Yeah,
um hop through a window, hop over a counter,
yeah,
or whatever. Like
I
there
liked
was a
it.
lot of things that like again I was like saying like wow, this is like Tis Peak because I wish we had this even for like
Right,
Murphy
absolutely.
Pendleton half the fucking time. But like that
Yeah,
didn't even happen. Um I liked I liked the first half of the town, especially because like you
loved
said,
it.
like there's a whole lot of like I just explored. I was just like, look, it's
Yeah,
my first playthrough. I got nothing but time. Let's just scrub the area and just try to find all the things or find out what little things are around. I mean, why not? You and I
right.
both paid for 24-hour or no, 48-hour
You,
exclusive, getting the game on practically the day before day
yeah,
one.
yeah.
So scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing all the way to the apartment, I was just like, I still miss things,
Oh yeah.
and that's okay. That's totally fine. Um,
My little neat niche, which will come up after the apartments. I think you'll be shocked about it because I want to know. I'll ask you the question when we
sure.
get to that part, but I want to know your opinion on it because I'll tell you mine later. But that's where it really, like, I kind of figured out, how can I say it? Like, not what the town is, but basically from like it comes back to revolving around what you said, how like when you get your first monsters, they're not like bam.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it'll revolve around that.
Oh,
But
okay.
walking up to the apartments though, let's get
Yeah,
to
yeah,
there.
yeah. Well, I'm actually quite my second design choice kind of preambles the apartment complex, and
Oh,
that
you're fine.
is
Yeah.
that you get the key, and then you do the door thing, and you get the key to the apartment in that alleyway,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then there's like this brush of wind with all this debris coming towards you, and there's like a thicker fog, and there's monsters that kind of come out from the depths, and you're just like balls to the wall. I don't care where I'm running, but I know I need to get to the apartment.
Right.
At first, it was effective because I was like, "Holy shit balls! I don't even know what the hell is gonna
Oh, dude,
happen
it scared the
next."
hell out of me. I thought there was like
Yeah.
a tornado in Silent Hill going on.
Yeah, right. I thought there was like a typhoon or something like that rolling in. I was like, it's just a freaking lake. So, um, just put a pin in that. Now, I would like to say that
Okay.
early on, when you see like the blood splatter, and then surprise, surprise, there's
Oh, your first encounter.
an effigy
Yeah.
of a body in the alleyway, and it has the clothes and the distinctive features of James Sunderland, right? And he leaves like the little notes around. I think I messaged you this, but I don't know if you caught on to this. Did you ever think that like even in the original Silent Hill 2 game that like those are James Sunderland, and that those are the
So-
bodies of him until it's like a loop that he hasn't
Well-
quite reconciled his guilt, and so this most recent us playing the game is him getting to that endpoint, that
Oh, it's, like,
resolution.
farther and farther.
Right.
Oh,
So every
shit.
time you meet a body that was
Oh,
like there, that was like
dude.
the toll gate of like him not quite making it there.
That's
And those
wild as
notes are
fuck.
like left for him for the next time around
remember.
to,
Oh my-
hey, you
Well,
know, like
I just came across a YouTube video. I did not watch it, but it was. Do you think it's funny because that's actually what they asked? Is do you think he's in a never-ending loop?
yeah.
And now that you said that, that never occurred to me. Fun fact, by the way, I'm just throwing this in here because I was going.
It's cool that other people are thinking the same thing too, you know? Like
Is I didn't know that was James. And now this is to the PlayStation 2 one. I didn't
Yeah.
know those were James's body until the Eddie part, and that's why I kind of questioned it. Like, is that us? And then honestly, same thing. That part kind of just left out of my brain, and until I got to that. This is now today's Silent Hill 2.
yeah.
Until I got to the Eddie part, that's when I was like, oh shit, dude, there's our body right there. And then when I played through my second playthrough, which was funny because that was my speedrun playthrough, that's
Yeah.
when I noticed like the dead bodies, like where you pick up the key for the apartment was us too. I was like, oh, dude, we've been scattered around the whole town the whole time. I thought it was just at the Eddie part. Because then when I got to the jail and you see that body laying, I was like,
Well, because there's
that's you.
like there's a body in the alleyway, there's a body
in the apartments when you're watching
in the
TV, I know.
apartments, yeah,
Yeah.
the chair one. There's also a body when you try to like take Maria out towards the hotel, and then
Yeah.
you get like the note that says like, hey, you probably need to go back to
Yeah.
the Bolorama or something like that. Yeah, so there's those bodies are still there in the new game too, by the way.
Love it.
Like,
yeah.
yeah, I was just like, oh, nice little sprinkling of like a thing that I like about this game is that it nods to the past while doing its own thing. So like there's these little
Right.
things that happen in the game called memories where like if you stumble upon where in the original game this would have been here. Like for example, the boyfriend unit, he played just like the very beginning of it, right? Up to where you get into town, and he was like, "Hey, there's a saying I can look at." And he looked at it and I was like, I totally missed this memory. Like I didn't know this was a memory
Right.
of
Right.
the OG game, and I thought that was so cool. And it doesn't
My
just happen
first
like once or
playthrough,
twice.
I got the 3 main ones, which made me happy, and it was on accident. It was just like a heartwarming thing too for me.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was the dead body one where you pick up the key,
Yep.
and then I got the memory from the Pyramid Head actual like fight. I got
Oh,
that
yeah.
memory, and then the memory that really got me, and that's when like I just had this such big heartwarm feeling in me, was at the hospital on the roof. You can actually look at where he fell through.
Yes.
And when I got those were the only 3 memories I got out of the whole game though. And when I got those, I was like, oh, like, damn, man. Like
There were
bringing
other
up some
ones too, like
past
even in the
shit.
apartment, like if you find like the OG like box that has like the coins in it,
Yeah.
there's
yeah,
a memory of that one.
I've seen
There's
that
a
on my
whole
second
bunch of them.
playthrough. I was like, what?
Or like the tear in the wall that says Henry Mildred Scott,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
that's where
like
the
that's a
original
memory.
clock was. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was so cool. Okay, so going to the apartment, I thought the apartment level was like Tis Peak. I love the redesign of it. I loved like the exploration of it. I was having like the pits were spicy that day because I didn't know what to expect
Oof.
around the corner.
I tell you what, man, going with the apartment level, I love that they didn't make it too confusing. Because even to this day,
Yeah.
even though I almost, you might as well say 100% run on the PlayStation 2 version, I still get lost in those goddamn apartments no matter how many
Yeah.
times I replay that game. And this one, they just made it so nice. Like, it's just go here. It just feels like it's one level. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? It's not like go outside, now you unlock that door, go here. Well, the trash can's outside too. Well, it still kind of is. But
Yeah.
you know, it's all in the one area. And
Mhm.
to me, so nice.
Mhm.
Thank you. Same thing with
Yeah.
I'll say that in all levels. Honestly, the hospital level, same thing. It's all in the one area and it's just so nice. Don't get me
Mhm.
wrong. Do I kind of miss that whole exploration part of the PS2? Absolutely. But it doesn't fuck with me as much as it used to in the older one because I
Mhm.
would get that's the reason why I would dread even trying to complete different endings in the older ones because I just knew those parts would get me stuck for hours and I would just
Yeah.
rather just run through it. Especially once you beat the game multiple times, you just kind of want to like go through it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
like in the olden days, the apartment level used to give me such a runaround, right?
Oh my god, fuck me. Apartment level and hospital. After those two, I could speed run the game, no problem. But those
Yeah.
two always fuck me up. So the fact that it didn't feel like that in this one,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The apartment level this time around, the only part that really like gave me like a run for my money was the dark side or
yeah,
the
absolutely.
Blue Creek
I agree.
apartments,
Yeah,
right? So
I
like the
agree with
second
you.
half. I thought it was
Yeah,
very like, okay, I see what we're doing here when it like I don't know, in the original game, it didn't feel like when you're already in an apartment level that like has just monsters rolling around and then you go into the next set of apartments and you're like, "Oh, okay, well here's another apartment."
right.
I didn't think that it was the dark. I never treated that second half of the apartment level as the dark side.
Dark
So
level.
playing this
Yeah.
time around, I just thought it was an extension, right?
Right,
That just so
same. Yeah, I
happened to
agree with
have,
you.
yeah. So this time around, like it was a clear distinction. This is normal. This is a nightmare. And
Yeah.
that to me, like, kind of gave me like this kind of like, whoa, okay, like throttle back a little bit. I didn't realize that we were going
Oh
that hard
yeah.
that fast, and
Oh yeah.
I wasn't ready. So in fact, I had to start over twice. I played through and I got all
I
the way
know,
to
dude. I
this
felt so bad. I was even
part.
watching your live stream side, and I tuned in at one point because I forget what happened. But I just
Well,
heard
so
I'm
what
just gonna
happened
restart.
was
I was like, buddy.
here's what happened. I don't trust myself, let alone this damn controller, to vibrate when I'm like, because in the PlayStation 2, if you're like low on health, you'll start vibrating,
Right.
right? And
Right.
like the harder it vibrates, the more closer to death you're about to get.
Yeah.
Everything's new here, and I don't know how this game's operating, but I come to find out, there's just like a little plus, you know,
Yep.
symbol of
On
like,
the
you know,
side.
yeah. And I didn't realize that that was showing up at the bottom right hand corner to say like, hey, bro, you're about to die. So
Did you
every
go
time
into
I
your
got hit,
inventory, by the way, that when you were low on health?
no.
Oh my god. So if you go to the inventory, another warm feeling it gave me, if you go in the inventory while you're low on health, it actually colors the whole inventory like it does on the old one. I was like
No, I
orange and
didn't know
red.
that.
Really?
No.
Yeah. So it keeps that the same. And that was so badass in my opinion. So
That's
yeah, you
cool.
get like the little, you know, plus, like you said,
Hmm.
your health thing in the corner. But yeah, if you enter your inventory, yeah, your whole inventory will be yellow or red, just like it is in the old one. I was like,
That's cool because I didn't know
it's the
that was a
little details
thing.
that
Yeah.
count. Yeah, bro.
So every time I got hit or like the screen would start getting like, you know, red around the corners or whatever, I
Right.
was like, oh, time to drink up. Or like I would accidentally press the Y button
Bro,
thinking
all
I'm looking
fucking
for the
day.
map.
Map, yes.
Right. And so now I'm like, you know, I used to have 5 health drinks. Now I'm down to 1. And I was like,
My
all it
God.
takes is one monster to hit me and I am murked, you know, or like
Also,
if
can we
two of them
talk
gave up
about
on
real
me.
quick how like the difficulty is low
Oh my
key?
God.
I was
Like,
on standard difficulty. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I was kind of struggling. It was just like I get hit 3 times. It's already like, buddy, you better heal.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
I'm
Like,
not even on. I had to recheck it because I thought I was on hard difficulty.
same here. And so that's why when I was already at the nightmare mode of the apartments, I was like, we're hard restarting because I cannot. I had no
Syringes.
syringes, adrenalines, or whatever it is. I had no drinks, and I was stuck between a rock, a hard place, and me. And I was just like, I don't want to struggle. I just want to have a fun time playing this game. So I restarted, and I was like, okay, the rules are lower difficulty, keep the riddles standard, and let's just try to keep 5 health drinks at all times.
Yeah.
Like, you
See,
know what I
my
mean?
first playthrough, I was on the low side of health as well, but I just powered through it. And I was
Yeah.
even like searching too, but it seemed like every single time I found a health drink, it came with 3 enemies. So then I would
Not
just
only
have to
just
use.
that, but like the game really plays with your emotions because there were a couple of
Uh,
moments, and I pointed this out when I was starting the second playthrough, is that like we would go into the apartment complex and there's like a canister for like where you would think, or the game has primed you to think that there's going to be a syringe or some kind of health drink in there,
yes.
and it's
There's
empty.
not. Yeah, there's not.
And I was
Yeah.
just like, y'all are playing with my emotions and I can't right now. Like,
I didn't think I was even gonna beat the game if you want me to be honest, because
mm-hmm.
we'll talk about it obviously, but like the Eddie part took everything from me. When I started
Yeah.
the ending level, I only had one health drink. I was like, I was even debating on even going back. But
Mm-hmm.
my second playthrough is when I told you you tuned in for it. I had like 14 syringes and
Yep.
like over 22 health drinks. I was like, we're solid here, dude.
Yeah, that's why I'm quite excited for like my second playthrough. That like already I'm sitting here going like, oh, this is completely night and day, and I'm
Oh
playing
yeah,
at both standard difficulty now.
yeah.
So I'm just gonna be keep on moving it up as I go
You
along.
used a chainsaw, by the way?
Yeah,
Oh my god, that thing's
yeah,
stupid.
yeah. No, I already see. I
Wait till
already
your first
see.
boss fight with it.
Oh, okay.
It's
Because
just done.
oh, really?
It's just 1-2 done.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, because like
That's
I
how
was
I had
telling.
all those health drinks and everything. Cause I just I literally that's how I did my speed run because I was just cutting through everything.
Mhm.
Everything was with the chainsaw. It's like
So our first boss fight is Pyramid Head, big old daddy Pyramid Head. And you
Wait,
know what I thought
is
was really
this
cool? I don't know if you
is
noticed
this
this.
the part after the apartments or is that during the apartments? I thought it was after.
It's just the
apartments.
end of it.
Is it the end?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Because
then.
he opens
Yeah,
up
go
the
on.
gate and then he exits and
That's
then
right,
you follow
you're right.
suit, right? I
Yeah,
want to
that's
put
right.
a little pin here. Again, design choice. There's a particular room that we run through in the other world of the apartment, and it's the dead ass same design as the original boss fight from the PlayStation
Yes.
2. Did you notice that?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Because I was
Yeah,
sitting here
so
going,
there's a
this, oh
memo
my
there,
gosh, we
that's
got to
why-
compare
that's-
notes.
Yeah, so there was a memo but there right by the stair set I got on my first one, and when I got that's what I mentioned earlier is I got that one, and dude, I was like, it kind of fucked with me because I was
Yeah.
like, I'm seeing this again, but in a better, different perspective.
And not just
And
that, but like I walked through once, and it was just a very clean bottom floor, and we went through and we did whatever we needed to do on the bottom floor. When I came back up and around, there was one of those straitjacket monsters in the position that he would have been if Pyramid Head was in that room.
yeah,
I was like, whoa, this game is playing with me. Like, it is playing the nostalgia. Like, again, the game nods to the old one, but it's still its own thing, you know?
well,
And I
that's
just-
what
I
that's
love
what
that.
fucked with me that I was gonna mention was like when we arrived at that room,
Mhm.
I was ready. I was like, okay, because I thought maybe there was gonna be like a shitty jump scare. This is where our Pyramid Head fight begins.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I was like, wait, this is just a room? I was like, then where the hell's the actual fight?
Yeah.
Because, and that's what fucked with me, because I'm like, oh my God, so we're like James in a different universe now,
yeah.
kind of deal. Like same universe, but different like map now.
Maybe
Because
the
when I seen that, I was
PlayStation
like,
2
whoa.
version of James didn't finish the loop, and now this is a new loop for
I
him
know,
to finish,
right?
right? Yeah.
Dude, chills. Chills.
Um, Daddy Pyramid Head.
Oof.
He was a difficult fight for me.
They
I
scared the
feel
fuck
like
out of me. I thought it was just gonna be
Yeah.
like 1, 2, 3 shot, and then the siren comes on. No, dude, he was chasing my ass down
He
like
was-
he wanted me.
he was eating bullets. Like that dude. I
I thought
thought we
there
were
was a
getting.
strategy to it at one point. I was like, wait, do I have to go behind him? Like,
Yeah, I thought so too. Like, I honestly thought that you were supposed to be like behind him and hit him from behind or something like that, or I
oh
don't
my
know.
god.
Like, and by the way, the gun like you're a first person shooter person.
Right.
Like, how do you feel like gun
I'm not
like
gonna
when
lie,
we
the
play like
gun
the OG
mechanics in the
games, they
game
kind of
sucks.
lock. You know
Yeah,
what I
no.
mean? Yeah, this
I
is
was
completely
not a big
different.
fan. I don't use the guns in the game, and the only time I did was during the boss fights because
Hmm.
I even tried using the guns on the actual enemies. I can't shoot to save my life, and just like you said, I'm a first-person shooter, and I play third-person shooters as well, which is your over-the-shoulder view.
Hmm.
And I hate to say it, they that shooting needs fix, honestly. If you want my point, like it sucks. And I don't know if it's just me that sucks, or maybe I need to change my sensitivity. I hope others could agree with me. It's bad. It is bad.
Mm, okay.
But
Okay.
I like that it's bad because it makes me feel like you have to use the wooden plank
Hmm.
to like get face to face with your fears.
Well, and that was kind of like how I kind of felt with like PlayStation 2 is that like, it is clunky mechanics for like
Yeah.
wackadoodling monsters and shooting monsters. Like you're going to probably aim somewhere
Right.
or miss something. And so keeping an awareness of that kind of, you know, nod to
Right.
the old, still a little fresher, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. And then we
So
run to the Rosewater Park and we meet up with Maria.
yeah.
How'd you feel about this long sequence of events? Because, whoo, that was like, I felt like when I got there, I was like, and we can take a break because this is going to be a big movie.
Oh man. So with what you were saying, I hate to say it, and it's funny because I actually got asked this by somebody in my chat.
Hmm.
Two things here. One, how you feel about Maria now, and two, how you like the whole look of everything, blah blah, in the Rosewater Park. And I hate to say it, but I'm saying it in like a way that I actually love it. So
Mhm.
this is no diss here. Like I'm actually saying like I love it. I love how slutty they made Maria. All right. And I like seriously, like that is a temptation on a man like James.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where in the other one, it's just like, really, you left your wife for this bitch type shit.
Well, I
Nah,
mean,
like,
she's dressed like Christina Aguilera. Like,
oh my god, how this whole scene is, how everything is. I
Mhm.
actually, and I hate to say it, I feel like that's why I got the Maria ending for my first playthrough, by the way, because it actually made me had some feelings towards
Mhm.
this other woman,
Mhm.
compared to the whole point why we're here, aka searching for your wife. And I
Right.
was like, damn, like they did a good job of just the dialogue, just how I'll say it again, just how whorish and slutty they made Maria. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. I love it.
They definitely made her look like the other woman in the
Oh yeah,
relationship.
100%. Miss this for sure.
I like that at
Mistress
this
is what I
point.
meant to say.
I like how like in totality of the whole scene, I love that like at this point in the video game, and especially the dialogue and the intricacies of the characters talking to each other, because we've already talked to Angela once before at the apartment with a
Right.
knife. Eddie, we meet him. Lara, we kind of meet her in the alleyway, and they have a little exchange as per usual. And by the time we get to Maria, which means we have met all the characters for this whole video game, I really felt like the game sunk its teeth into the meat and just enjoyed the juice. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like it was just
Yeah.
locked in, and now we're like exploding the flavors in our mouth here of like what this game could like. I mean, this was like the big reveal, like one
Yeah.
of the big reveals that our wife isn't actually at this place, it's somebody else, but it looks like her, sounds like her, just her clothes are different, her hair, and
I was
whatever.
gonna say, I that's what I was gonna touch base on with you is how you like the redesign of Maria.
I like it. I really do.
I love
like,
it.
I really do.
At first, I'm not gonna lie, I was bitching about it
Mm.
before playing the game, You know, when I was watching the trailers and everything, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
really? But then again, like that was a 90s style. The game came out in 2001 or early 2000 style even. The
Yep.
game came out in 2001. So this 2024, like now that I was visually playing the game and experiencing the game, I was like, I actually like the new clothing that they gave
Yeah.
her and everything. I
Mm-hmm.
did. I was like, okay. I mean, at first I was like, really? It's not Christina Aguilera 2001.
But they do again, like I said, they nod
did.
to the old while they're still being
Oh
new
my.
with it because you go to this apartment complex, which by the way, they also do a nod to Silent Hill 3 in the same apartment complex.
Yeah.
The Jackrabbit Inn or the Jack's Inn or something like that.
Yeah.
And she finds the old costume
Yeah,
and
she's
holds it
like,
up for you,
how
right?
would
Like,
you, what does she say? How you like it? Or how do you think I would look in this outfit?
and he just kind of goes like you and I would say as like a response, like, yeah, looks
Right.
good. And it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
really? That kind of response? I guess I'm not wearing this then. You know?
I did. I love it. I love how they had it again. They put the little sprinkles in it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, so at this point, we're roaming around with Maria. I don't know if you stopped by the. Did you ever like play the director's cut version where you play the Maria side quest?
Yeah, yeah. So actually, it's funny because I'll be
Did
honest
you
with
stop
you,
by the mansion there?
I actually never even beat it. I like started it and I played through a little bit of the hotel or wherever she starts in, and
Uh-huh.
yeah, you're talking about breath or something of a wish or something like that.
Yeah, Born from a Wish. Yeah.
I so like I actually never played through it all of it. I heard that it was only 33 minutes long, but yeah, I like
Yeah.
only walked in that little apartment that she was in, and I remember I seen a couple of the monsters that you meet later on in the game. I was like, nah, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, so
So I
like
was like, fuck this.
there's a mansion that the majority of the game is played in, right? And in this particular remake, the mansion is there and you can go up to the front door, but you can't get in. And there's
Oh
a whole
shit.
cutscene where James looks and turns at Maria and she's not walking in. And he goes, "Are you okay? Is everything all right?" And she's like, "There's something about this house that just I I don't want to go there. I don't want to go in there." And he's like, "Okay."
Damn.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a cool nod to the past while being its own thing because this is
Yeah.
the Maria storyline here, right?
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, like it was a whole thing.
Damn.
And then comes my first, like, I would not say my first grievance. My first grievance is that like it just seems to me like the game like tries to constantly block off portions of the town as you
Yeah.
progress through. My we get to visit an area of town that like we've never really seen before, which I think again it's a beautiful area. What I think was just complete like design choice that I just did not appreciate was that wind, that mini tornado, that hurricane that came through comes back again for a second time, and we upgrade our wood plank for a metal pole, and then we're wackadoodling monsters to try to get to Brookhaven Hospital or some crap like that.
So
Like,
the thing that I have to agree with you on this. So the first time that happened, I was like, "Oh shit! Like, let's
Yeah.
fucking go!" And I'm not gonna lie. When it happened again, I was thinking to myself, "Don't tell me this is gonna keep on happening throughout the game," which
that's
it doesn't.
what I was thinking too. I was
But
like, is this gonna happen all the time?
It was annoying the second time. I'm not gonna
Like,
lie, because I agree with you.
honestly, like between the hospital and then like getting the letter and the wrench, going and doing the thing to get the key to the
Yeah.
historical society, I was like, I would be damned if like we have to go run that gauntlet, right? And then as soon as we get the key from the Rosewater Park to get to the historical society,
Yeah.
there's another hurricane coming through. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't really want to deal with
I
that.
can't wait to touch up on that part if you want me to be honest.
Yeah, like so we get to Brookhaven Hospital. One little note though is that like instead of going to the Bowl-O-Rama to meet up with Eddie and Laura,
Yeah.
right? We go to a movie theater. And I thought that was a really cool additive.
It's a great
Like,
touch. It
yeah.
was different. I love
Yeah.
how before that, she takes you through like this little like park.
garden.
Yeah,
or
thank you,
park,
garden.
yeah.
And that was cool. I
Yeah.
liked it. Different, like, because that wasn't even in the original game.
Hmm.
And so when I seen that, I was like, well, this
And the
is
little
different.
story,
Like,
and the little story that she tells you about the woman who was exiled
yeah,
to
I
an
love it.
island, and this man kept on, going out there, and then eventually, he had a capsized uh, uh, misfortune of his boat capsizing. He dies, and then she was
Right.
just there
Dark.
to starve until the end of her days. I like that little like additive of a story inside a story inside a story.
Yeah.
Um, it repeats itself a couple more times throughout the game because it does so over at the hotel at the very end.
Yeah.
But like I thought that was a really nice little like touch of like this is Maria, someone who's from this town as far as we know, who knows a little bit of like in-house lore or whatever.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I did enjoy that. Yeah. I also liked the theater. I thought it was interesting on my playthrough that when we meet up with Eddie, like when we meet up with Eddie in the first place, we're just like he says like, "Hey, why don't we join up?" Eddie asks James, "Hey, why don't we join up and try to survive this place?" And James says, "No, I can't leave yet. I have something to do." Later on, we meet him in the movie theater, and he's eating something out of a
Yeah.
popcorn bucket. It's not pizza. And and when James says olive branches over to Eddie and says, "Hey, let's go get Laura. Let's go get this girl," he goes, "Oh, so now you want to be friends with me?" I was like, and there's the switch.
Yep.
Because that was not in the original. And I found
No.
it very telling that, like, at this point, because James disregarded Eddie, the first, not even really disregarded, but just said, no, not yet.
Right.
But to Eddie, that means, oh, we're not friends ever. You know? I thought that was so interesting to me. Like, just that kind of like, we never said we weren't going to team up. We just said not right now. Those are two very
Right.
separate sentences. But to him,
Yeah.
they're the same.
Right.
And then we get to Brookhaven Hospital.
Oof.
How'd you feel about it?
I'm gonna say it again, just like I said about the apartments. The thing that I really loved about the Brookhaven Hospital is it wasn't confusing. It just felt like everything was on one floor, and I love how they made it like that. I had no, even for my first playthrough, I had no struggle with the Brookhaven
Oh,
Hospital
I had a
at
huge
all.
struggle. I was probably
I mean, I had one, and I it held me up for a whole hour. I do gotta admit that.
was it on the
So
second floor?
I think so. Yeah.
Was it that
Yeah.
weird
It
little
was the
area
fucking
where like the squared off section and you had like it's on the other side of the Brookhaven Hospital, right?
yeah,
And you had to like
yeah.
figure
That
out how to
part.
get into that middle area there. And then come to
Yeah.
find out there's a hole in the wall you have to break through
Yep.
and do your thing. Okay, so yeah, that held me up
Yeah.
for like over 30 minutes. And I was just like, I
Mine was
cannot.
an hour.
So,
Yeah,
okay,
mine was an
so
hour.
we both struggle bus at the same point. Either that was a design, B intentional, or C we're just idiots. And I probably aim towards like C. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, no, but
because I was
liked
definitely
it, though,
drinking that
because
night. So
oh yeah, same. No, but I loved it though because it didn't. Again, I'm bringing up my problems that I personally have with
Mhm.
the first game, and that was just the apartment level and the hotel. I'm at the and the hospital level
Mhm.
made it way too long for me. Like that's why I
Oh,
always
okay.
dreaded replaying Silent Hill 2 for the PlayStation 2 because I know those two levels just always dick me over. And it's like in this one, it didn't feel too long. It didn't feel too short. There wasn't that many enemies like there. Like it just had a nice little happy medium of okay, next level, do the puzzles, get through it, bada bing, bada boom.
I think one of the
Like,
things that like by this point when we got to the hospital after first of all I had no idea we were going to go to the basement, but then as soon
oh
as we
god,
dropped Maria off and then it turned into like the other side, and then like the initial reaction of like where are we going, what is the stuff, right?
right?
After a while, like that 30 minutes or to an hour that we were both talking about, that's when it kind of set into my brain that like, oh, we're comfortable, like there's nothing, like it's comfy to be here, like
Yeah,
that's weird. to me because I shouldn't feel comfy being here.
Now, what I was going to bring up, which is I'll touch more on base with it again, was so what I was talking about earlier, how there was some parts of the map you were talking about, how there wasn't much enemies. It was just more like you're in Silent Hill, go have fun, go explore. So that part's actually after the hospital part, which I was going to bring up.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah.
agree with you because there is a part, again, put a tab on or tib on that. But there is a part. Oh, thank you, Wingnut, for this description, by the way.
Oh yeah, thank you, my guy.
But it made me feel so comfortable, and it was like the comfortable of, should I feel comfortable or is some fuck shit going to happen? But I'll get to that part after this. But
Yeah, no, I totally hear you on that. I think that like, there two things. One, again, like we were just talking about, I felt too comfy in the moment of being in the hospital. But two, also my brain was playing with itself, where I was like, okay, now we're in Brookhaven Hospital. Then I look at the map, I'm like, I have absolutely no idea where I'm going.
right.
And I enjoyed that, but again, it was like my used to, okay, we go here, attack at this, get in
That's
this
how I
room,
was going in this
and then we
game too. Is like
up, down,
I
use the
remember this and
elevator,
that.
yeah, all
Yep.
those things. I was just like, well, now that's just thrown out into the waste bin because now we have to come up with new ways of attacking this
Oh
building.
yeah, that's what I
and-
love about it too. Is
yeah.
the new puzzles too, like the bracelet thing. I kind of enjoyed that.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of the puzzles, okay, because we're already halfway through this video game. So speaking of the puzzles, that is my bread and butter. Okay,
I love it.
I was
They
on standard
fucking killed it.
puzzling, and here's the thing: I felt like a fucking genius. Okay, that is not often. Okay, so like the clock puzzle, nailed it. The
Yeah, same.
moth puzzle, nailed it. It took me a
That
second
one
to
I
figure
had
it
to
out.
look up. I was in that room for 30-some minutes. I was trying, and finally I said, fuck it. I looked up the puzzle. I felt so cheated in my life. I even was apologizing on my stream. Where is it? Where, by the way, tell me actually. Till this day, I still don't know. Where is the fucking numbers?
Okay, so the
Or how
numbers are
you-
on the no. So like the numbers are on the door. There's the padlock, and then there's the symbols, right? Like
Yeah.
sun plus moon equals this, and then moon plus.
Yeah, I could not.
Okay,
Because
so-
the moss had the different symbols on
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah. So each wing had a symbol on it,
You count the
and you have to
fucking-
count the wings of every single moth, or you subtract that number from the total, and that's how you find the number for
No, I
the
was
lock.
counting the moss, like how many moss have moons on it or half
so, yeah.
crescent moons. I was like,
I
what
did
the
that
fuck
too.
is-
I was like, oh, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 moths with 5
Yeah.
moons, or with the moon. So I wrote 5, and then I went
That's
back.
what
I
I
was like,
did.
oh, maybe it's how many wings have those symbols.
Nope, that never occurred to me. I said screw it. I just looked up what the hell's the combination. I
So
got
this is how I don't know about you, but like I've done escape rooms, and I've not
Yeah, no.
failed. I have never failed an escape room. So every single time I went into a new room that was a puzzle room in Silent Hill 2 the remake, I treated it as if I was on the clock timer escape rooming the escape room. So I was like, okay, where are my clues? Where are my things? Like what
They made
what
it
facts
feel
do
pressure,
I have
though,
here?
I'm not gonna lie.
Hmm?
They made it feel pressure though. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. Like it felt like I was on a timer. Like if you don't get this, like just go hit the fan.
Like even like okay, so going back to Brookhaven Hospital, like you brought up the wristband one, right? I love that
Yeah.
one, and here's why. So you have to get the oh my gosh, how did it start off? There's a lock on the right, there's a safe on your left, and then
Yep.
there's a mannequin hand in the middle. You have to run and get the bracelets for the mannequin hand, and then you have to arrange the bracelets on the mannequin hand
That's
and
what I
then
was going
spin
to
it.
tell you. So it's funny because how you said like the puzzles make you feel like a genius. My first playthrough,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't even look it up or nothing. My first playthrough, I got them all in the correct order by accident, and I just guessed the number because there was like those clear patches. I was like, oh, okay. So that's why when I did it my second playthrough, I just placed them wherever and it wasn't doing it. I was like, oh shit, there's actually a pattern. I was like, my first playthrough, I accidentally got the pattern correct and put them all in order. I was like, how the fuck did I do that my first time, dude?
I have no idea because I had them out of order, so I had to put them in order,
Now I
spin
put
them in
them
order.
in, yeah.
Those numbers go to the door on your right, and then in
Oh
that
my
room is a
God.
whole set of books, and you have to
Write all that down. I was like, I
Yep.
was so committed, dude.
And then those numbers and symbols that D-Dog just showed you, you have to use those for the safe on your left, but then there's a certain sequence for that for the numbers down below that you take those numbers and you open up a whole other lock
Yeah.
that's there. And I was just like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in an escape room. And I like that feeling. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Just to me, that was a Sean appropriate puzzle because it was a puzzle on top of a puzzle on top of a puzzle, and all three of them supported each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I also love the fact that like the box where you get like the string in the OG one was just empty. Right. And then you see the woman's door behind you. And I love the fact that if you read the annotation about what the woman's door is about, how she judges people, and that it's a very thin string, and that only like people who carry their guilt or are not sinful or something like that will fall to their own weight on this string.
Right.
So in the OG one, it's just kind of like, okay, whatever, la 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 la, let's go see let's go see P Daddy Head. In this one, Maria kind of just stands there. She's like, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable going through this direction. And that set the tone real hard on me that like, oh, because of the memo to the left about what this door is about and what consequences are about to go down because of this. Pyramid Head's little chase scene, I don't know how this effing happened, but Maria kept on running ahead of me.
Yeah, it
and then
happened to me on my second playthrough. I don't like that.
Yeah, my cutscene swapped Maria to being behind me, and then the whole sequence happened. So I guess I was not running as hard as Maria was in her boots. Yeah, she was. You know, you're a lady of the night when you could run 3 miles in heels. Okay.
What? Oh yeah. So after all that, and then after you go through the other world, the one part that made me laugh once you enter in the other world of the hospital was when you enter that fridge scene where there's the ring in there.
Yep.
And she goes, "This isn't my style," and he just holds his hand out, and she goes, "Here you go." And he like looks straight. He doesn't even look at it. He's like, "Thanks." Like I laughed so hard at that, dude, because I was like, dude. Oh my God.
Yep. There was a lot of like. I felt like this game had a lot of moments where it was playing on the intricacies or the interconnection of actors being actors or characters being in the moment together in that kind of scene. Yeah. Okay, so back out to Silent Hill the streets after, you know, someone decides
my God,
to...
this part. So real quick, I want to touch on this.
Sure.
So the graphics and the detail and just how beautiful, how it was raining and how the lighting was affecting. I thought it was gorgeous.
I was having
like, wow.
I was having downpour moments where I was like, oh, it's raining, we should be inside.
Yeah, man, like it was just I love what they did with the dark scene, because it was funny because I was going at this when I first started the game of, I know Silent Hill 2, we're gonna play it like Silent Hill 2, and it just kept on doing these like little like to me. And then it's funny because the part that hit me was, oh yeah, dude, my least favorite part on Silent Hill 2, the original, the PlayStation 2 one, was the night scene, because it's just pitch black. The graphics aren't obviously the best, and the fog on top of it, like I didn't know where the hell I was going, walking or anything. But this one, how they just got rid of all that, it was less like rain and a little bit of lighting. I was like, this is gorgeous.
Yeah,
it was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the ratchetness of like the monsters coming up, and the amount of like I mean, honestly, it just turn into just avoid every encounter you possibly can get
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
Um,
That's why I actually died my very first time was on that part.
ah, okay.
Yeah, because I got, again, like you said, I was running around the whole city. I didn't know there was a fucking wall that you had to hit,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Same
and
here.
yeah, to get through. And so I got trapped in with like 3 fucking monsters. Mind you, 2 of them were nurses, and the other 2 were those leg monsters that does a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
damage for some odd reason.
yeah. Same
And
here.
so I
I
got
was.
trapped in the room, and I died for my
Yep.
very first time.
My first time dying was all the way back at the apartment level. So
Oh shit, really?
yeah,
Oh damn.
yeah. So like I said, I was playing and I was
Oh,
struggle
real
busting.
quick. When you die, the fucking little white loading screen steps,
The little
bro.
walk steps. Yeah.
I love that little
'Cause I
detail. And then it's
remember-
just like press start to,
I remember
continue.
what was it like months ago? You were saying like if they don't have the footprint thing,
Yeah.
like we revolt, right? Like it
Yeah.
has to have like that tiny little detail in there.
By the way, W game already, because yeah, there was no load screens or nothing, dude. I
Yeah.
was just super amazed how you could just walk in an area and then continue on.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
wasn't like
absolutely.
little no.
Mhm,
Which
mhm.
again, PlayStation 2 time they needed the load screen so the game could
course.
render and everything. But
Exactly.
I love that little effect that when you start the game, hell, even when you come back to it, it'll have that little load screen, and then
Mhm.
it's just like, hey, press start when you're ready, dude. And
Yeah.
I don't know, just sitting there, it's like, ooh,
Yeah, right.
okay.
I will say that where the wrench and the letter was at, I thought we were going to the house.
Bro, I kept on trying to go through buildings because I swore up and down that phone was in a goddamn building.
Same
And then
here.
finally, like, I just saw like a red flashing light. I was like, oh, there's a fucking phone outside, dude. I spent 30 minutes on that map because I thought it was inside a. I was going through shit, going back into places.
And before you even begin to go, let's just say, for example, that you didn't know that telephone was supposed to be on the ringer.
Yeah.
That same telephone is there when you first go through,
Oh.
except the ringer's off the hook, but James can put it back onto the hook.
What?
Yeah. Like
Ah,
on my
dude,
second
nice.
playthrough, I went straight to that telephone. I was like, oh. And he goes, huh, no dial tone.
What?
Yep.
Ah, now you gotta try that.
Right? It was just like the little thing that was like, I'm gonna mental note, telephone. We get our letter, we get our wrench, we go and we get the key to the society. We go to the society. I like the
Real
historical
quick,
society.
before the society part.
Yeah.
When you get the key and you're walking to the society part, most beautiful moment ever, in my opinion.
Mm.
How the fog was just dimmed. You saw like that little house in the distance that
Mhm.
kind of like popped up, and everything's just silent and just chill
Yeah.
the fuck out. Now this is where I was coming to earlier when I said put a tab there or whatever, and when you said that the town makes me feel safe. The thing that I love about this is notice in the old one they would have those monsters jumping over the fucking
Yeah.
fences.
Yeah.
The fact that they didn't add that, I love it because it just made it more suspenseful. It made it more like, okay, I can
I was
chill
slowly
here.
waiting for those things to happen.
Same, bro. I was
Yeah.
so ready because they jump scared me back on the PlayStation 2. I was ready to get jump scared, and they didn't.
Yeah.
And then like that's when I felt relaxed and chilled. That's when I was picturing the visual part of it, and I was like, this is just gorgeous, man.
Mhm.
Like, I love the lighting they had there. It wasn't just fog, and
Yeah.
you know they were jumping over the fence. It was just like that dim plus the fog plus a little bit of lighting and no
Mhm.
monsters. Loved it.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
I like that the pictures in this video game actually looked and felt like real pictures. Like the director of the
Are you talking about
hospital.
the historical sighting?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Misty Day picture looks amazing, and
Oh, yeah.
you know, like all the little artifacts that happen throughout like the whole game, like even like well shoot, even the newspapers like, about like Walter Sullivan, or
Oh, yeah.
like just again little nods to the old but still doing its own thing. And we get that iconic historical society staircase going down. We jump through a couple of holes.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see. We make it to the prison
Prison.
level. D
Okay.
Dog, I feel like this is gonna be one of your cons.
Yeah, you already know me. So back on the old one, I had no problems with the prison level. It was actually a really nice level, and not only that, I could fly by it. I'm not saying that like, oh, it's a good level because I could fly through it. So two things here. I'm going to start off the bat was the enemies here. Mind you, if you guys don't know me, I am terrified of crawling things. And when I saw them motherfuckers, how the spotlight just toosh, and to see him crawl up the wall. Man. Nah, like, and when I mean that I don't like crawling things, I mean like spiders don't scare me and shit. I'm talking like grudge style shit. I don't
Yeah.
like the grudge. It freaks me out. And when I seen those monsters pull that shit, I was like, oh, hell no.
Specifically, like it was like the mannequins, they redesigned them to be.
Love it though.
Yeah.
Great design. Great
Mm-hmm.
design. And but no, so prison level, it was too much in my opinion. And what I mean by that is it wasn't like throughout the whole game, even towards the ending, there was a good monster to level ratio.
Mm-hmm.
And in the prison, there was this way too many monsters in the level ratio. And it was too annoying to me because I couldn't really just like
I
I
can agree
couldn't
with
respect
that
the level as
because
much as I wanted to like, look around.
yeah, I can agree with that because even when I first got to the prison level,
I died so many times there.
I felt inundated by I can't. Not that I can't enjoy the space, but there was a particular moment where I was being so inundated with having to defend myself from monsters that there was a
Yes.
whole room that I guess I ran into, and I was like, roll the playback because I don't think I was ever in this room. And then I went back into that room and I was like, there's nothing in that room. Why is this like all the notes are saying go to this room? And I went to the room and I was like, where the hell was all this shit? Like, why did I
Yeah.
miss like all this stuff? And so I picked up all the things and then it says, hey, go around and use the key on this thing and that thing and the other. And I'm just like, why did I miss like 30 minutes of my life? Because, oh, that's right, because I was getting murked or trying to get murked by a bunch of monsters in
Right.
here.
And
So,
me with the prison level as well is like the one thing that dreads me the most of Silent Hill games, and this goes for all Silent Hills, but specifically in 2 here,
mhm.
is just like why I dreaded the apartment level and the hospital level on the OG one, because it was like grab this, go back, grab that, go back, go here, go back, go do this, back, 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 back. And that's how this level treated. It was like grab this, wait. Okay, now go to this part, put the weight down, try to figure out that
Oh,
little
yeah,
puzzle,
yeah, yeah.
and then go grab that weight, then go back, do it again, blah blah blah, then grab this weight, then grab that plate, and I didn't like it.
It was
I
the
honestly,
go here,
the
get the
game's
thing,
all
come back. Yeah.
tis pig, but the prison level I now dread.
Mhm.
I'm glad enough. I'm gonna say it again, just like the other ones though. It didn't last long. And I'm glad that I didn't, but it was just annoying. I didn't like it. The whole
I
weight puzzle too, that was a design choice in my opinion.
yeah,
I
I
didn't hate it,
agree.
but I didn't like it.
Um, I felt like the payoff wasn't as much as
Absolutely.
the payoff wasn't as much as the work was to put into do the thing. What I did
Absolutely.
thought was really interesting, which was a redesign, was the crime and punishment
Oh, holy
puzzles.
shit, dude. Hold on. Before we continue on this, we totally just skipped out. How do you feel about flesh lips? Yeah, wait, that was back in the hospital.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my bad.
My apologies. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Flesh lips, that monster. For this to be really like our boss fight, because Pyramid Head just kind of walked around, just tried to murk you with his big throbbing,
Right.
sword, because your guy over here's got a fondness for Pyramid Head. Flesh Lips, on the other hand, I was like, oh, why am I getting like Silent Hill Origins bad guy remake out of this? If you know, you know.
Okay.
So like when Travis Grady goes to the sanitarium and his mom is
Yeah.
in the cage thing, and then like the nails
Yeah.
come out and does all the things, I kind of got like Origins pull from that, you know?
Man, I couldn't do nothing but say holy shit, and my mouth was to the floor because it
Yeah.
was funny because while the flesh lip scene was going on, my wife was actually right here, and she was just like, I was talking to her. I was like, yeah, you know, if it's just original flesh lips, like it's just like they just hang on the ceiling, blah blah blah, hit you with their feet type shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, watch, it's really easy because I told her back on the old one, you just grab the shotgun and boom, 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 dead. And I was like, check this out. So the fight starts, and I was like, okay, this is a little different. Holy shit. And I'm boom, boom, boom. And then next thing you know, second stage happens.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
when
wasn't
that
aware.
second stage happens,
Yeah.
I mean, she was right here. And I felt bad for her because I felt like I like yelled in her ear, but I just yelled like, holy shit,
Yeah.
holy shit. Like I was freaking out, dude, because wow, that
Mhm.
was intense. All these boss battles, intense as fuck. And I
Yeah,
love it.
especially
You did so
later
good. It
on.
wasn't like too much intensity as in like Dark Souls games intensity. It was just like overwhelming. The whole world's destroying around it. Everything was just going to shit, and it's like,
Mhm.
oh my god.
I also want to point out that it also kind of that particular boss fight also kind of reminded me of Scarlet from Homecoming, where it was in the distance and then it would run up to me and try to attack me
Oh
when it was in
yeah.
this, in
Oh
the,
yeah.
position where it looked like it had like these metal things coming after you,
Yeah,
So it
legs.
kind of
Yeah.
gave me like this, I don't know, in the first half of it, it reminded me of Flesh Lips from the original game, but then it had like
Absolutely.
this then it had like the Silent Hill Origins boss battle thing going on for itself, and then it turned into like almost like a Scarlet 2.0 in a Silent Hill
Ah,
2
okay.
game. And that's where I kind of had that feeling of it. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I was just like, oh, um, we've done this before. So we gotta dodge to the right when it attacks us and then wackadoodle it. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, right.
like I was trying to be Alex Shepard, but I'm James Sunderland instead, like it's a whole thing. After the prison, which was a task upon itself, one of the
Yeah.
great little like things that you and I both communicated on was when we went into the bathrooms and we knocked on the door and then we heard this like aggressively screaming woman in the bathroom.
That okay, so that gets me, and like you said, we talked about it, but that always gets me on the original game.
Yeah.
And mind you, it always gets me because when I think of Silent Hill, I think how great the story is, how great the gameplay is. I never remember, and or like this parts of the map, like, oh, this is for that puzzle, this is for that
Yeah.
puzzle. I always forget about that. And every single time, even on the original, always scared me. I didn't even, again, it left my mind. I'm playing the remake. I was just so excited to have this remake
Experience?
actually play. Yeah. And that happened to me. I about threw my headphones on stream, dude. I literally like flipped them like this. And I was like, what the fuck was that? Because they made it even more scary.
So I
And she's
went
just,
in like
beating it. It's like,
as
oh
soon
my
as we made it
God.
to that area, I was like, "Oh, I am so ready for this jump scare." Because if they do it,
I
they do it. If
wasn't.
they don't, it's whatever. Not a make or break at this point, because I'm already halfway through the game.
Ah.
But then like it happened, I was like, "Holy shit, that was way worse than what I thought it was gonna
Dude,
be."
it scared the
Like,
piss out of me, man.
you know what I mean? After the prison level, we make it to the maze, but before we make it to the maze,
Cool.
they remix it. So normally you go through the maze, you run into Maria, and then you run into Angela, and then you
I gotta say,
they remixed it a little bit.
what you said is this is probably gonna be my con to the game.
Yeah.
You are absolutely right, because again, what I mentioned in here before is Silent Hill, the game franchise now, not just two. I always have that one map that I just absolutely dread.
Okay.
And just like in Silent Hill 2, as I mentioned before, there's parts of the game that I just kind of dread because it's like, oh, come on, let's just go through it. The prison and the maze map that we're about to tab in here, absolutely, I found out I just absolutely hated. I hated the whole fucking thing. Like, but After the maze thing, great, golden. We're back on track. They had the little cube
Yeah.
puzzle. We'll get to that. We'll touch on that here later. But great. That whole experience of going down this ladder to go up this ladder, dude, that one you could have left out. I'm not gonna lie, that's
Um,
just my opinion. You could have left that one out.
Here's my design choice. Okay, so this is another design choice for me, and you bring up the ladders. I totally agree with you on that, and here's why. In the original maze, it was legitimately a
Yeah, they had
maze
the
because
bunkers. Yeah,
yeah, like, and that's fine. Like, it is what it
right.
is. And you had like different, like, you literally felt disoriented even looking at your map because it made no sense which
No,
one
it
you go up,
didn't.
which one you go down. It's a maze. So this to me, this remake version, I don't know why, but even though I like the motif of like as you spin the box around, like it changed which rooms or which areas of the maze you can
Right.
get through, cool. But for some reason, I felt like after all that, and I remember texting you because I went off stream. I think I played like 5 hours or something like that, and then I was like, okay,
Yeah.
guys, we're at the hotel. We're gonna call this one a day, and we'll
Yeah.
revisit this tomorrow morning. Um, I remember texting you, Dom, and I said, okay, it's taking me some time to think about it, but upon reflection of the experience I just had in the maze, this is not a maze. This is linear, and this took the piss out of the
Yes.
original
Yeah.
video game because, like I said, like if you go down a certain ladder well, you happen to run into, just by consequence, Pyramid Head, and then he runs around, and then you go into his room, you get his great knife, and you can
I
drag
like
that
that
thing.
little big
There was a
bit, by
little,
the
yeah,
way.
again,
I did like that.
a nod to the old while doing its own thing. But
Right.
here's the thing is that like I felt like they were pressuring us to have to go to that room for a specific
Ah.
reason, as opposed to us naturally finding it because we are exploring the space and it's a maze. So we'd have a complete discombobulation of like where we go down one ladder, we pop up in another area. In this map here for the remake, they put numbers next to each ladder so that way you
Yeah.
can't be confused as to where you're going and what you're doing. So it just completely negates the whole point
That's
of
why I
being a
kind of
maze.
felt bad because I normally don't like backseat gaming. I avoid it. But that's why I felt bad because when I saw you were struggling it and I already
Yeah.
been through it, I was like, buddy, just go back down this ladder and you'll
Yeah.
pop up here. Because I normally didn't want to tell you that because I'm like, look, this is his first playthrough. Let him enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I saw you, I kind of noticed that you're kind of getting frustrated with it a
Yeah.
little bit. And I was in your shoes. So when I saw you being in my shoes, I was like, I'm gonna relieve it. And I was like, look, just do this. And I didn't want to tell you that, but like I was just like, I wanted you to continue forward. And
Yeah.
I knew it was fucking with you a little bit.
I think the thing is that like when it comes to like you and I, when we were playing this game, we were both like pretty much on the same track. And then at
Yeah.
one point, either I was ahead of you or you somehow like
Yeah,
I know
we
you
got
I
done.
know you got like a day ahead of me at some point.
But we were right there. It's funny because
Yeah.
it was just like you made it to this part. I'm like, all right, I'm out of stream. And then like the next day I'll make it here and you were here. And then
Mhm.
like you said, yeah, then the one time it happened, then it just
Yeah, exactly. Um, so after the debacle of the maze and all those things, we go and we defeat Eddie. How'd you like the boss fight for Eddie?
I love that whole fucking dialogue before the boss fight. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
mention real quick. Wow, when he looked at
Oh,
when
put
he
a pin on
looked at
that.
you,
What about Angela's dad?
okay.
Because
So
this happens
I
during the maze thing.
yeah, I forgot about that. You're all right. I'm
Yeah.
glad I brought that up. So I love it. I love the redesign. The one thing that actually made me feel like I wasn't really playing Silent Hill, and how you mentioned earlier, because you played the other
Mhm.
Blobber Team's games, was honestly that boss fight. That boss fight there made me feel like this is a Blobber Team's creation.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And that's when I kind of like was like, I enjoyed it. Great boss fight, by the way. Scary as hell. Holy
Mhm.
shit. But it kind of disconnected me from this is a Silent Hill 2 boss fight and this is a Blobber Team's like doing their thing.
Got it.
So I got kind of disconnected from it. But with that being said, absolutely enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Great boss fight. Awesome. I love the redesign too. Just like how they did with Flesh Lips, how you mentioned. was he'll like come after you and just boom, and then he'll fucking charge.
Yeah.
That freaked me out. I was like,
Yeah.
oh hell no.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I thought that the boss fight was like flawless for Angela's dad.
Yeah.
I like that, like the walls. I was mentioning the walls. They had like the circles with
Yeah,
like
the circles on.
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was
I'm
a
glad
really
they brought
cool,
that back.
again, nod to the old while doing its own thing.
Yep.
And I don't know, I felt like when we get to this point, like even like the part like where you have to break the television to initiate the next scene, I was like, that's so cool that they did that, because or they gave us like
again,
that
I
choice.
felt bad that I had to tell you that because I didn't want
Oh
to
no, I
spoil
would
it for
have
you.
never have had thought
But bro,
about
I
doing
was
it.
running through that thing, and finally, like the old James, like clicked in my head, like, well, we break windows, so fuck it, let's break the TV. And when it happened, I was like, oh shit, we should not have broke the TV. And that's why when
Right.
I saw you again, you were kind of doing what I was doing, where you're like, well, where did I go? And I was like, hit the TV.
Yeah, right,
And you're
right,
like,
yeah.
what? And psh, your face
You know what?
lit up when
What you
that.
did in the maze and what you did for, like, you know, the whole like hit the television, that
Yeah.
to me is like as if someone was not backseat gaming, but more so sitting right next to me and saying like, oh hey, try that out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
To me,
see
I
what
just felt
happens.
like I was like just ruining the game.
Because I do that
That's why
with
was
I
like,
do
oh.
that with the boyfriend unit all the time, where I'm like, oh hey, what does that do?
Right.
You know, because if he's already played the video game before and it's our new experience, then you know,
Right.
if you have someone new playing it, it's like, oh well, I probably never even tried that, so let's try that out. Like, what's the worst that could possibly happen? You know, it's not like a monster's gonna bust through the walls and try to kill
Yeah,
you.
it does. It
And so going
does.
to Eddie,
Yeah.
I felt like I was playing Saw.
So that real quick, the whole when he said you gotta remember we're not like the same, but this town called you too. Oh dude, that's when I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, this kind of like solidified the idea that I had many years ago that
Eddie's the other version of like
James, like his
Yeah.
negative, his
Yeah.
his shadow, if you will,
Yeah.
the person who
because when he said that's like I mentioned, like when he said that, oh sorry, he says we are the same, and you
Mhm.
gotta remember this town called you too. I was like, that's when the key unlocked in my head too, like holy shit, it is his other half, his
Yeah.
doppelganger or something. Yeah.
Well, I would say like where James is like representative of the ego, right? That
Yeah.
what Eddie represents is the shadow, the I'll just do whatever it is regardless of repercussions. Like
Right.
who cares if it affects other people? I still just like, for example, when he kills the prisoner, or like when he shot the dog, or when he you
Yeah.
know shot the football player in the knee. He didn't care about the repercussions for those people in their lives. He just wanted to do it because it entertained him. And then he went
Right.
to the next thing. He went to the next high, and then he went to the next thing, just destroying on the way up, you know?
But
Um,
the fight, I will say, in my opinion, once again, great fight. I enjoyed it. There was nothing that I really hated about it. The thing that I kind
I
of
don't know
say
about
like
that.
I didn't really like about it was how there's like stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3,
Mhm.
and they made it hard. Like I'm
Mhm.
not ready to play this game because just like all Silent Hill fans says, by the way, I'm throwing you under the bus here, is you never actually beat in Silent Hill unless you beat it on all hard.
Yeah.
And I'm not ready to face him on hard because I died multiple times on my first playthrough on him.
Same here.
I'm glad that they didn't keep it original, but fuck, dude, like the aiming
Well,
sucks.
in the original, you
You
could just
can't
sit
see
behind.
shit.
Yeah.
And just hit him with a wood.
Mhm.
But dude, I got so many like bad things to say about this bad boss fight. But with that being said, though, I actually enjoyed it. I didn't hate it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different redesign. It's a different experience. One of the tactics I used was I turn off the radio and turn off the flashlight.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
So I figured if my flashlight's on, he can see me from far away. So that's why I turned off my flashlight.
By the way, I'm just throwing this out here just for your next playthrough because you're using the chainsaw. It's 4 hits and he's dead.
Oh,
But,
perfect.
Yeah, that's why I like blew by him. Like every single time I saw him running up to me, I was like, yeet, yeet, and then I'll start
Got it.
stage 2, and then it's just 1, 2, then stage 3, and then you just hit him once and he's dead.
Oh,
Yep.
okay, okay,
I
okay.
didn't get hit once when I had that chainsaw, dude. It's so nice.
Nice. Yeah, that
Yep.
thing is OP. I'm like waiting for like
It's
a update to happen
ridiculous.
where they kind of like they kind of
Die
make
it
it
down.
die it down a little bit. So I gotta just like breeze through as much as I can before they decide to
Oh
update
man,
the data on that
it
thing.
just actually did another update today. It was 32
Oh, they did?
gigabyte one. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to update my my copy here.
Yeah, we're at 1.005 now.
Good God.
Already. Yeah.
Wow, not even a month out. Okay, so then we make it across the lake and we get to the hotel, man. I love the hotel. The hotel
The
space
hotel was
so cool.
awesome. It was
Yeah.
fucking awesome, dude.
And you
And
know-
once again, I'll say it just like all the other ones. I love how they didn't make it too long. But although the hotel, in my opinion, felt too short now. Like it felt like
Yeah.
they're like, all right, here's your wife, done. Where the other
Mhm.
ones, like it had like a good like medium, as in like it could take you long, but
Mhm.
it wasn't too long. The level itself, the hotel actually felt short.
Yeah,
Not gonna lie.
I remember getting there and I remember doing a little bit of work there, and then you were like, you're so close to the end, and I was like, we'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like we'll do it tomorrow. And now knowing what I know now, I'm just like, oh, I could have wrapped this up.
Yeah,
like,
I did
within,
the
like-
same exact thing, dude. I arrived at the hotel, I shut my stream off, and it took me 30 minutes just to be
Yeah.
that. I was like, I even said on my stream, if I would have known that would sent that long, I was like, I would have just stuck it out.
Yeah, exactly. Same here. And also like I will say one thing that I thought was missing that didn't make its appearance in this part of the game was, I don't know if you remember this, but when you go through the dark side, or you know, the dark side of the hotel, there's a hallway where if you go through a certain room, it pops you up into another room,
Right.
or in the, another hallway, or you have to figure it all out. But like really the answer is you just run through the hallway and just exit, right?
Yeah.
That didn't happen. Like, either A, they didn't think about it, or B, they just like, this is
The
a
thing
thing
that
we
I
don't need to
love
do.
about the hotel, and this is why I was even telling you in your stream, was when you just arrive at this place, it's gorgeous. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. It looks like a what a hotel would look like back in that time.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're collecting these parts, and this is when I told you, like, look at the hotel, it was slowly like deteriorating.
Yes.
And I was like, whoa, dude, like it's amazing what graphics like from 23 years later it came in, because when you're going through the hotel in Silent Hill 2 original, it's just the hotel, nothing changes, nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, it's just like you grab this piece and now the fucking wallpaper's tearing, glass
Yes.
is broken. I'm like, what the fuck is going
Right.
on, dude?
Yeah, I thought that was a really cool effect. That
And
like,
to me, it gave me that feeling of this is their love and how James betrayed her,
Mhm.
and this is it coming down.
right.
You know,
Yeah, that's a really cool
And
way of symbolizing.
that's
like,
that's what I got from it.
yeah, no,
But
absolutely.
the
That's-
hotel's dying, and so is Maria.
Right. Yeah,
or Mary,
exactly.
sorry.
Mary, yeah.
I always
Um,
get those two fucking mixed up every single
That's okay. I mean, like, freaking Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, her one job was the voice actress as Mary and Maria, and she couldn't get both of their names
really?
right at the same time
Oh.
either. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Real quick, touching up still on the hotel before we
Yeah.
wrap it up towards the end.
Sure.
How did you feel? Because I even took pictures of before and after. And I didn't even do it on purpose. Like, it was my first playthrough. I wasn't expecting it. But when he watches the tape, right?
Yeah.
I love how now it's not all blurry and you can't really see what's going on.
Well, it
because
never was
I
in
ain't
the
g-
first place. The original Silent Hill game, it was never blurry in the first place, and then when they took, again, hijinks, when they took that video, they decided to put a television mat on top
Yeah.
of it, so that way you never even saw half of the damn thing.
Wait,
You
you're
would
talking
see
about
like
the new
this
one or
much of
the
the
old
you
one?
would see like this is how much. So if you saw me and it was like this, oh, here's my pillow,
Yeah.
you know, and then you would you would see the pillow go across the screen. This is what it looked like on the hijinks high def version, was like this. So you never got context of what the fuck was going on in the HD version. So unless if you played the original, you knew what was happening. You're like,
see,
why
that's
did they
what
botch
fucked me up.
this?
Is actually in the original. I still didn't understand it. Actually, I look up the ending to find out. Oh, he killed his wife. And this one, I love how they didn't make it so blurry, and like you could actually see him like do it. And I was like, what the fuck? But it was the scenery. What I was talking about earlier is I took a before and after picture. I'm so glad I did, because it was on total accident. It wasn't even on purpose. Was the camera was panoraming behind the chair with the windows on the light. And then after the whole videotape scene happened, it panorams, and then you're in the other world on the hotel, and then like the windows were all in orange and like the chair's black. I had a before and after picture. Actually, I'll send it to you while you talk. But dude, it was like, I was like, that is fucking cool. Like, odd.
Yeah, I thought that the whole gravitas of the scene was amazing. This particular area of the video game answers everything that we get for Lara as well. I think it fleshed out her character a lot more than the original game did.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And so I got that one, then right after I got that one, this fucking scene popped up. And when I got this scene, I was like, dude, that's fucking awesome.
Yep,
I
absolutely.
love that.
I love it too.
That.
That's cool. That's real cool. Yeah.
I know, it's like same fucking play as back to back. I'm like, that wasn't even on purpose, dude.
Right? Okay, so for some reason we get like a mini boss in this level, and I just want to talk on it because it's like it was kind of it's a con and a half. It's a pro because
I was trolling you
not...
so bad too on their stream.
God.
So for those of you that know, I tuned into a stream at this point, and I was like, Sean just touched the fireplace, and you're like, what is going on with this fireplace? I was like, Sean just touched the fireplace, and yeah, so you could go ahead and talk. I'm sorry, does that throw that?
I never screamed so much in my life. Like, you are literally that guy. You are that guy I would totally bring along to a scary movie that, like, you don't need a jump scare to happen in a scary movie. I will jump scare myself, okay? And then you just get to sit right next to me enjoying the fact that I'm jump scaring myself, okay?
Yeah.
Like, every time Freddy Krueger is in the movie, I will jump scare, okay? And then here's Dom going like, you know?
Seriously.
Because that's exactly what you did. You were like, Sean, just touch the fireplace. Just touch the fireplace. I'm like, la la la, and then I touch the fireplace. I'm like, oh my god, like I wasn't ready. But can we talk about this? So why did it feel like I was back in Silent Hill Homecoming with like the Colossus monsters?
Yeah,
you know?
Same.
I mean, I get that, like, when we first defeat these monsters in Silent Hill Homecoming, it says Shadow of James as a achievement, but it never dawned on my head that, like, those monsters were Colossus-like monsters from Silent Hill 2, because they were always hanging. Yeah, so
right, yeah. They always climbed underneath the cage,
Right, so you never got to see like their full body figure, but like in this game, we get like the whole thing.
It kind of reminded me of the Silent Hill 3 monsters.
Those two.
Yeah, it gave me that feeling, but more like charge. Those things charged at you.
Yeah, exactly. So this is like a con and a half because one, it reminded me of Silent Hill Homecoming, a lesser of Silent Hill 2. But it also gave me, like, again, like you said, Silent Hill 3 with the Colossus monsters in that game as well. So I guess it's just a theme. And then we get to Maria.
Oh.
And we both got separate endings, so we didn't even get the same ending. I got the better of the endings, and you got the
So my first playthrough, I got the Maria ending, and my second one. Now you get that
by way of checking.
I was checking on her a lot. Yeah.
I checked on her once, and I was done. I was like, okay, we good.
I did. So that's what I was telling you about. Like, I didn't know what ending I was gonna get because there was times where I was checking in on her, but there was other times like I just skipped the fuck out of her. You know, like I was just like whatever. And then I think what really did it was the prison one. So because before you leave the prison, you could go in her room again. And I did, and I was like, oh, okay. Because I noticed that if you go back to her room after you had her little talk in the prison, she'll actually sing. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
She sings?
So, yeah, she sings. And so
That's
I remember
so
I got
interesting.
freaked out. I got so freaked out at the maze part. I just went back in that room. I was like, Maria, just let me hear that music. And like, she'll like hum. I was like, oh, okay, thank God. So I like walk out. And
That's so interesting because I've noticed that on my second playthrough that every time that there's like a music instrument somewhere nearby in the rooms, there's a piece of paper that's like sheet music.
yeah, I noticed that too.
And I'm wondering if maybe they're giving like this like little tidbit that like Mary likes to sing, or she was a very musical person, so that's why there was like all these like loose leaves of like Brahms or oh gosh, what was the other character? I was naming out the songs. I was trying to keep them on my phone so I could listen to the music later because it's classical music. But I remember Brahms, Opus 28 or something like that was one of them, and it's a very short song, but like I was just like curious of like, oh, I didn't know that Maria would be humming to you, and I'm wondering what the tone is now because I never did that.
Yeah, when you go back to the prison level, just check up on her again. But yeah, so no, I got the Maria ending, and then my second one,
I'm too busy
I got
trying to get in
ending.
water or resurrection over here, okay? Like,
bro, let me tell you, the leave ending blew my fucking mind when like Sheila was like, oh, you know, I'm Mary and blah blah blah, and then like if you actually looked at the captions or the subtitles, did you see that I switched the name to
switch between
Maria?
Mary and Maria?
That fucked with me. I was like, yo, and then that's when she was just like, I could be her, James. I was like, dude, this is wild as fuck.
Yeah.
But the Maria one, that was. Did you see the Maria ending on my part? Or you gotta save that. Okay, yeah,
no,
just save that for yourself. Yeah, save it for yourself. That's like me. I'm not looking at all the other endings. I'm saving it for myself.
Yeah,
brother, I'm not even gonna spoil it then to you, but that ending dialogue, I was like, holy fuck.
Okay.
Oh my god! And then it plays like the metal music, obviously, just like it doesn't. But dude, like it's actually like more metal. It's like if like Korn kind of got behind it. Oh my god! Yeah, I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but
okay.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of curious about the water and the rebirth ending too, or whatever it is.
Same.
So.
Especially because like as our second playthrough, at the very beginning when you go through the woods, there's a set of wood tables, and on one of the wood tables is a little note that tells you how to do the rebirth ending.
Oh really?
Yeah, so I was noticing this on my second playthrough that going all the way back a couple hours ago, when we went through the forest, on one of the wood tables before you start making your way to the graveyard, there's a little note that tells you how to do the rebirth ending. It tells you, like in poem, the items that you need to bring Mary back to life. And then when you get to groovy music, the place where you get like half the record and the super glue, if you go into like the far corner, first room where the records are at, in the darkness in the far back, there's a note back there, and when you pick it up, it tells you that in one of these buildings, in one of these rooms, there's a laser gun. Or there's something of like, how they put it, like extraterrestrial item that if you use it at the top of a building, at the lake, at somewhere else,
that's how
you'll get the UFO ending. And I was like,
oh. See, I wanted to play like all my playthroughs because there's an achievement of it. I think it's like party, like it's 2001 or something, and let's get all the original endings.
Yes. And
then I found out there's now 8 endings. So you have the 4 original, or the 5 technically, 5 original, right? And oh shit. And then I found out there's 8 endings, and how to get the other endings is through the New Game Plus. And I'm like, so I played through the New Game Plus, my second one. I still got the leave ending. But with that being said, I'm like, wait, I know the main ending, so where are these different endings?
Yeah, me too. I'm curious about them.
Because they don't have a name. Like, you still got, like, the Rebirth, the Water, the Maria. So far, these other ones, Yeah, like these other ones I never heard names of. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
me
what
neither.
are the
I just want to
no.
play as if like I'm learning them
Yeah,
as
there's
we
a
go along and see like what the endings are and what we have to do to get them. And I'm gonna try. I want to do the original 5
Yep,
and
that's
how
what
we
I'm
get
doing.
them right. Like for example, like
Because I never even
because
got the
Mads is
dog ending
asking
on
like
the
how do you.
original.
Yeah, Mads is asking how do you get them, and like for leaving, like you just normally just play the game as is. For Maria,
Yeah.
you typically like you did. D Dog was
Check up
check in
on
on Maria.
Maria,
For the in
protect
water,
her.
right, for the in water ending, you normally have to look at, well, one, you can't heal yourself as often as usual, and you have to
Right.
look at the murder knife that Angela gives you
Yeah.
a whole bunch of times, especially like up until after Maria dies
Yeah.
the first time. And then what else am I missing? Maria.
Rebirth.
Rebirth. Okay, so in Rebirth, there's a couple of items you have to collect throughout the whole game, and that would be like a
Yeah.
vial of white liquid, the book
Which I
of
wonder if they
memories.
changed this. The Crimson Book or whatever.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
memo
they
doesn't.
kept it
The
the
memo
same?
doesn't. No, the memo doesn't look like they changed any of the in-game items. They just didn't tell
Oh,
you where to
okay.
look for them. They told you to go look for them. They just didn't tell you where to get them.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I was just like,
I-
oh well, that's a design choice because now I have to go hunting for like Easter and all those
Right,
things.
right.
Not that I'm
I
not
just hope
already
it's-
trying to find 24 freaking Polaroids,
Yeah, no kidding. I agree.
which I
with
was
you
so
there. But
close. I was so close to that.
overall,
Yeah.
though, that's fine. You have 30.8 hours in the game. I got 29.3 hours.
I don't want to
We've
talk
been
about
hitting
like
it
5
up.
of those hours. Those 5 hours didn't even matter because I had to restart.
I felt so bad for you. No, but besides all that and everything, though, so total outcome. I know we
So-
kind of touched base on it at the beginning, but
Yeah.
basically, so what is your thoughts after 23 years of Silent Hill 2? Is it a
This-
good one? Did they overdid themselves?
No, I don't think they overdid themselves. I think that like
They fucking nailed it. Plus,
they nailed it. They nailed it. They nailed it. Goat. This
Mhm.
this iteration of Silent Hill. This was what we wanted like over a year ago with Silent Hill
That's the crazy
Ascension.
part. Is they actually listened to us and they listened right. Like
Mhm.
they did what people wanted. And in my opinion, again, this game should they should honestly win a award for this because not just
Not
coming
just
from a
that,
fan,
but like I was saying, like Silent Hill Ascension came out like a year ago to this
Yeah.
game, and it was a freaking yeah. I love when devs listen, and not only just that, but like there was just like moments where. Well, now we have Silent Hill F and Silent Hill Townfall to look forward to, and I don't want to be that person that's like this. Okay, Blooter Team, can you please release a remake of Silent Hill 3 and Silent Hill 4 for us?
a lot of
Since,
people are already asking them too. I guess.
like
I'm not gonna lie, if they release a Silent Hill 4 and 3, like I'm gonna obviously buy them and play them day one type shit, but
Yeah.
I'm actually looking forward for it.
yeah.
Because those ones ain't my favorite. But if it's just as good as Silent Hill 2, as a fan, I have to.
What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
You might like a video game. Yeah, Silent Hill 2, the remake, GOAT for 2024, nailed it, and I couldn't be
yeah.
any more happier. I know I might have like bitched and complained about a couple things, but I think that like after a couple of playthroughs and getting used and warming up to the way that the
Absolutely.
game is, this new game is supposed to be played, I think it would be, like one of those things
It
where
would definitely be up top.
yeah. Like I said, like
They-
when I led from the top, like what I was saying was like this guy was complaining about the camera angle of all things, and I was just like,
Yeah,
really?
I'm like, not one time in my head I was like, oh.
No,
Yeah,
I never
not
once
one
thought
time.
like, oh gosh, this whole camera angle is gonna be like the death of me for this whole experience. What about you? How'd you feel about it?
Well, oh, about that guy's comment?
No, about your experience playing Silent Hill. How do you feel about it? Like, yeah.
I don't think they could have made it any better. Honestly, they fucking killed it. I am impressed, and don't get me wrong. Yes, it was made with Unreal Engine 5, so obviously top tier graphics. But with that being said, the visual aspect, the same dialogue but putting different lines into it, I have no complaints, man. And goddamn, did you guys killed it. And that's all I could give. Like, I just wish I was a popular streamer or YouTuber so they could witness this themselves. Because I'm telling you, I want to shake their hands.
Yeah,
Like,
for
they
sure.
fucking, they gave it their all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I love about it.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. I honestly, I couldn't imagine anybody else doing what they did.
No, absolutely not. I don't think the fact that they already tried to bite the bullet and was like, look, we're gonna touch a very touchy game and subject here, and they did. You know, they were
Well,
like,
you know, Climax Studios, Climax Studios was the first to lead on this with Silent Hill Shattered Memories.
Oh yeah.
So it's not really our first remake of a video game that's,
No.
more
They just know
up-to-date.
that this is like a touchy.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, because if they would have done this wrong, that would have been it for. I feel like their team would have shut down because that would have definitely made people hate them.
Much like what happened to Hijinks Studios when they tried to do the HD release of Silent Hill. I mean, that really tanked the whole company because they were overworked, overproductive, low output, and
I just feel like they just didn't have heart or time. They were like, yep, Silent Hill 2, this will make us money. And they just kind of did their thing.
Yeah.
You know? And this one, you could tell that they took their time. They understood, like, this is a very touchy game for fans.
Understand the assignment.
Yeah. And they got A+++. Like, they're on the honor roll for this one, bro.
Like, hopefully they can do no wrong for the next one, right?
Absolutely. And like I mentioned earlier, I know there's been talk of people asking them, since you're so successful with this game, can we get the other games from you now? And me personally, again, I'm not a big fan of the other games, but the fact that they did so successful with this game, I want to see them do the other games. Hell,
Yeah,
even 3 and 4. I would like to see a Silent Hill 1 remake. That would be kind of fucking cool.
My problem with, like, I know I brought it up, but like, hear me out here. Like, making lightning strike twice in the same spot isn't gonna happen. You know,
I guess you're right.
And like
I didn't think of
Mario
that.
64 was groundbreaking for Mario, and then they tried to do it again with Mario Sunshine. Then they tried to do it again with Mario Galaxy. Galaxy is, the better of the three. But you know what I'm saying? Like, Mario 64 was really like that lightning in a bottle moment where, like, they actually were able to bring Mario into the 3D world. And Mario Galaxy rolls around, it's like, you can't compare apples and oranges to this one, but Mario Sunshine's in between that, and people breeze past that as a Mario installation. It's significant, but it's not impactful, And so I hope that, like, between Silent Hill 2 and, like, whatever comes later on down the road from this particular development team, that it's not A, overshadowed by this most recent release, but B, is also, like, just something else. And same to say with, like, Silent Hill F and Townfall, because we don't know what those two games are even going to be about. I mean, Silent Hill F looks like it's going to be something from the feudal Japan era or something past
I'm
that.
not gonna lie, I'm really excited for Silent Hill F just because it's set back in 1960 Japan, and not only that, the year 1950s is like my favorite year timeline. I don't know why. I love the greasers and all that shit.
Right.
So the fact that now you're taking my, like, kind of my favorite year and then putting it in Japan, which I fucking love Japan. Never been there, but I'm saying, like, I love the history and, like, the style of Japan and the car scene and everything of Japan. With that being said, now you're putting my year in a cool place that I always wanted to visit. And it's like the only thing that's kind of making me like throwing up that red flag is I know that it's gonna be made by the developers of Resident Evil, and stick to what you know. Don't fuck with our shit.
Well, not only just that, but it also doesn't take place in Silent Hill, and, like, what games with the Silent Hill title that has nothing to do with the town has ever been
Yeah.
successful.
So I'm excited for it though. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just feel like Resident Evil is gonna do the Resident Evil shit and just make it. I feel like Silent Hill F, I hate to say it, is gonna be the homecoming of this generation.
Mm, okay.
Townfall, we have nothing on Townfall, which pisses me off. We got told, hey, we have Silent Hill Townfall. We had no trailers. I mean, we kind of did. We had the radio, but that was it. And to me, that's
Whatever
not a
you want to
trailer
call
because
that.
every fucking Silent Hill has a radio.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's just like, what's going on with Townfall? Like, what's happening here?
I don't
So
know.
hopefully that means they're cooking because
We'll find out next year when we come back for season
Yeah.
2 of the Evil Hour. This is the wrap up,
Yeah.
everybody. This
Yeah,
is the last
absolutely.
episode of the year. How do you feel?
Man, what a year.
It's been a joy.
We've been on a roller coaster, and I love to think of this whole thing as like a timeline because it is a timeline, obviously. But I just love how, like, when we first started, it was around my birthday, and then I went through a couple of tornadoes on my side of town.
Yep.
And it's like, that's why I always think about this little timeline we have here. It's just
Yeah.
like we started by my birthday, tornadoes, and then it kind of ended off like in a little party / fun things we were just talking about. And then we got to end it on a good note, which is
Yeah.
our very favorite game, our most loved game. And so like you said, I'm excited to see what next year would bring us because it's just like, are we going to get more Silent Hills next year? Am I going to get hit with a tornado next year?
Oh.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I like to see like different little.
Yeah, I'm excited for what the future has to hold for the podcast.
Yeah.
This project here that we just jumped into with just no idea how to make it
Yeah, you did
happen,
that.
and I couldn't ask for a better co-host for the whole
Absolutely, I
year,
agree.
and how flexible we both are towards the project, and the expectations of just no expectations, just having fun and chatting it and up and
Right.
creating a fun podcast,
Yeah.
So I'm excited for next year and what things we either A, learn, B, share with one another, and C, get to experience as
Yeah.
the year goes through. So yeah, here's to 2025.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, D-Dog, where can people find out more about
Oh.
you, can catch you online on all for the rest of the year?
Absolutely. I'll be live on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at DDogCat36. And I also sometimes, it's not a reliable source, but you might, if you don't see my live streams, sometimes I'll upload my gameplays on YouTube, which is also DDogCat36. But that's normally when I'm doing a series. If you want to see all the fun stuff when we're not doing horrors or playing through Silent Hill, which 9 times out of 10 we're trying to get all these endings, so we're probably playing Silent Hill too.
It's gonna be a very
but-
long rest of the year for everybody here.
Yeah. But besides all that and everything, like if you did, I played different games as well. So swing on by the old Twitch there and check it out.
For myself, you can find me on SeanGraves.net. You can find me here at Sean Graves on Twitch, where I stream on Mondays and Wednesdays as well in the middle of the afternoon, because that's just where my current schedule is until next year, because January, who knows what schedule I'll be on.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's really it. YouTube as well, Sean Graves. And I just want to say thank you to the moderators again, Lightbright Indy, King J935, DDogCat36, Sir Racha Sauce, and Go Johnny Go 86 for managing, monitoring, being the adults in the room here, and making sure that we're all having a fun time. And we would also like to thank Tommy Two Flames for the spontaneous idea of looking into rhymes, children rhymes, and where their origin stories were. In fact, that podcast just hit the streets this last Friday. So even though this may be the last live episode, you can still catch our old episodes on any streaming platform that has podcasts, especially our YouTube channel, The Evil Hour. And while we're taking our sabbatical between November and January, we would still like to hear from you guys. So if you have episode
Absolutely.
ideas of things that you want us to talk about, please feel free to send us some ideas. And or even if we're just randomly gaming, and you're like, hey, that Evil Hour podcast, talk about this.
Yeah,
We're all listening ears at this point.
absolutely.
All right, man. Well, this will be the last time I have to say this for a while. Next time, we'll try to do the same thing we do every night, surviving. My name is Sean, and this guy over here, his name is.
I'm DDogCat36/Dom.
Wishing you all the best till next episode, next season, next year. New year, new us, new podcast.
Goodbye.
Peace, everyone.